Camping World Truck Series first raced in Kentucky in June of 2000, and the ride gets rougher every year. Race number 10 of the season brings us back to the home of true horsepower, so let's get set up. The trucks are back on track in the Bluegrass State for race number 10 of the season. Tonight, the drivers will face a challenging 1.5-mile track unlike anything else they've seen this year.
Contact is made. Around goes Coulter that slams into the wall. Jeff Burton is in the wall.
Matt Crafton has been to victory lane 3 times already, so what's his lucky charm? We may have the answer. There have been 6 different winners so far this year, but will Kentucky provide a new face in the winner's circle? We're getting ready to go truck racing right now. Welcome, everyone, to the Camping World Truck Series Setup Show. The track is very green after a couple days of rain, and the first time these trucks will hit this clean surface will be at the green flag. Hello, everybody, and welcome into our Charlotte studios alongside of 2-time series champion and Kentucky race winner Todd Bodine. I'm John Roberts. So glad you could be with us tonight as we get ready for what should be a very exciting race, Todd, on one of the surfaces that many drivers say is the roughest we race on.
It's really rough. When we first went to Kentucky Motor Speedway, it was as smooth as a pool table. Not a bump in, an awesome job. That was 15 years ago. 15 winners, all these races. Its track has gotten rough, and now it's like riding down a dirt road. You got to put a mouthpiece in so you don't chatter your teeth out.
Yes, so maybe not better with age when it comes to this one. Now, here's what we're looking at tonight. This is race number 10 of 23. We will have 150 laps of racing, but earlier today, NASCAR officials inspected weepers on the track after a very full day of rain. They have the track to where they feel as if it is safe. For more news and notes, let's head to the grid and check in, starting with Hermie Sattler.
Well, Johnny, as you mentioned, the story of the day has been rain as well as a persistent issue with weepers in this racetrack, and NASCAR officials and track officials have the track ready to race tonight. That's the good news. Now, a couple news items, because we did not have practice or qualifying. The field was set by owner's points. That puts Matt Crafton and Tyler Reddick on the front row for tonight's race. Also, there will be a competition caution at lap 25, and all of these teams have been given one additional set of tires tonight, but starting the race with no practice should make things tonight very, very interesting. Caitlin Vincey?
Well, Hermie, certainly one driver who will be affected by that lack of track time today is Ryan Blaney, because he only has made one start in a truck so far this season, and that was several weeks ago at Dover, where he finished 7th. But the good news is he has made a lot of laps here at Kentucky Speedway. He's finished in the top 5 both times he's raced here in the truck. Also had an Xfinity Series win here back in 2013. And I was just talking with Ryan about those bumps that we're seeing on track here at Kentucky, which has been a focus for the drivers. He said he tested here in a Cup car a couple of months ago, and he definitely thinks those bumps have gotten worse in 3 and 4. So something to keep an eye on once we go racing. Ryan Blaney will roll off 6th for tonight's race. Johnny?
Caitlin, thank you very much. So, Todd, no drivers have turned a lap this weekend at Kentucky so far. How unnerving is that for a driver and a team?
That's very unnerving as a driver. It's not so bad for the veterans, but the rookies that have never raced here, they got a big lesson to be learned here, because this racetrack is tough. It's really rough, which we've talked about. It's wore out. The grip is gone. And when you go off into the first turn, you don't know how far to drive it in there, how much brake you're supposed to use, what you're supposed to do. So it's hard as a rookie to go out there green and start racing.
Yeah, now there was some Xfinity Series practice run today, so perhaps these drivers who are doing double duty may have a little bit of an advantage, and that includes names like Eric Jones and Daniel Suarez. That is their starting position there. John West Townley, Tyler Young, Timothy Hill, and B.J. McLeod among the drivers who will get that extra time on the racetrack, albeit in a car and not a truck. And Todd, by virtue of owner points, that puts our 2-time defending champion, Matt Crafton, up there on the pole.
And Tyler Reddick, a 2-time race winner this year, who has never turned a lap at this racetrack, outside pole. And Eric Jones, Daniel Suarez, the second row. They've never raced here, but they did get that Xfinity practice today.
Row number 4 features John West Townley and Spencer Gallagher. Eric Jones had a very successful 2014 season, but his full-time ride in 2015 was full of frustration. That all ended the last time we raced in Iowa, when he started first and finished there as well.
The KBM truck has yet to visit victory lane. We'll see if Eric Jones can break through for the first time here at Iowa Speedway.
Green flag waves, and we are racing in Iowa. What a start by the number 4.
You see what a close call there. The Cameron Haley looked like he had to stab the brakes because they didn't go in front of him.
Trouble off turn number 2. One driver, the spins gets sideways. It's going to be Spencer Gallagher. Cole Custer dodging a bullet early, and Matt Crafton is on a chart.
If we keep racing like this, we might see some caution.
Caution is out, and it's involving one of the former race leaders from Thor Sport Racing and Cameron Haley.
Oh, trouble. John Hunter Nemechek.
They clear high.
Matt Crafton's crew did it again. Came in first, came out first.
And the 2 fastest trucks we've seen all day now up front, bumper to bumper.
That was huge for Eric Jones to win that battle on the restart from the inside.
So what's going through Eric Jones' mind right now, since he's played this story before?
No cautions.
Eric Jones wins his 5th victory in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. The monkey finally off his back for 2015.
That weekend was not a bad one for young Mr. Jones. He won the Truck Series race in Iowa on Friday night, then went on to take the Xfinity Series win Sunday in Chicago. Hermie Sadler has more.
Well, that was a big weekend for Eric Jones. He won the truck race, the Xfinity race, all in one weekend. But fast forward to Kentucky, not a single lap of practice on this racetrack. What are you concerned about, or do you think a situation like this maybe favors your race team a little bit?
Well, hopefully it favors us a little bit, but no, it's, I think we all wish we could have got a little bit of practice, but I think our Tundra will be good enough to hopefully stay up front, be good enough to stay up front, but, we'll see. You can only hope for the best in a situation like this, but I think we're pretty well prepared at KBM, and they always bring a good enough truck that we're pretty close off the trailer, so we'll see as we go and kind of go with the punches, but it'll be interesting.
No laps on this racetrack in any kind of a race car. What have you been told by your teammates or your boss or whoever else has been trying to help you prepare for tonight's race?
Well, obviously I've talked to Kyle about it and just tried to get a feel for the place and really see what it's all about. But it's a unique place. It's got a lot of character, and it makes for exciting racing. So I'm excited to get my chance to go out there and race on it and see what we got. But it'll be fun in the Truck Series. They always put on a good show here, so I'm excited to be a part of it.
That's our most recent race winner, JR. He'll roll off third tonight, Eric Jones.
Thanks, Hermie, and this is the first time in the last 6 races that Eric Jones will not start on the front row for a Truck Series race. 2-time defending champion Matt Crafton has 3 victories so far in the 2015 season, and there is something eerily similar about each of them. We will tell you what that is coming up next. And back in 2010, our very own Todd Bodine got the win in Kentucky. We will take you back to that day and show you what the Onion had to overcome. Welcome back to the Setup Show for the Camping World Truck Series. Tonight we are in Kentucky. It's a track that presents a few challenges. Here are how the drivers describe it.
Bluegrass State. Cool mountains. Love it.
Drivers, start your engines!
Bumpy. Rough.
Great view of the bumps right there. Looks like he forgot to put his shocks on.
Bumpy. Rough.
Turns 3 and 4 are bumpy as well.
Bumpy. Really rough.
And around they go. Johnny Sauter into the wall.
Kentucky is bumpy, but a very, very fun restaurant.
Now, Todd Bodine might use the word redemption to describe Kentucky. It was here in 2010 that Todd was spun by Kyle Busch while going for the lead. Todd brought his Toyota Tundra in for some quick repairs and got off pit sequence that allowed him to stretch the fuel and go on to take the win. Now, Todd, you have 1 win in the Truck Series at Kentucky, but you also have an Xfinity Series win here as well. How difficult is it to put a whole race together and win on this type of racetrack?
It's tough. You got to have everything go right. And we heard all the guys just now. It's bumpy and it's rough. That's what you got to deal with when you come to Kentucky. So, I've had the Xfinity race that I won. I beat Greg Biffle, passed him on the last corner, last lap. Greg came across the start-finish line sideways. So I have a habit of being spectacular at Kentucky, but I'll take it any way I can get it.
And this isn't your typical mile and a half.
No, it's not. The most of our mile and a halves are high banked ovals, really fast. Kentucky, relatively flat. You know, you got to carry momentum, long sweeping corners, so it's a lot different than most of the mile and a halves.
So right now, Todd is going to put us in the driver's seat for Kentucky Speedway. Here's a lap, Todd, with Johnny Sauter.
All right, coming down for a restart with Johnny. It's really hard to get going at Kentucky. You spin the rear tires. The racetrack is wore out with the bumps. It wants to spin the rear tires. Getting into 1 and 2, this is where you don't want to be on the bottom. The bumps are actually worse at the bottom than they are in the second groove. In that second groove, you can carry the momentum, get some speed. Turn 3, really tough to get in this corner. Wants to get loose. You can see the banking doesn't pick up until you're way down in the corner. That's what gets the truck really loose getting in. Coming off of turn 4, just the opposite. It seems like the racetrack tightens up and the truck wants to push right up to the wall. You have to be careful of not getting the wall.
And one driver who is hoping for a very big night is Timothy Peters. He's with Hermie Sadler.
Well, Timothy, a couple weekends in a row of pretty consistent performances from your race team. What are your expectations for tonight? Can you continue or improve on that trend?
I think so. We need to improve by 5 positions and get in victory lane. Trophy's pretty cool. Kentucky's really cool. Our Tundra has been fast. We just had a little bit of bad luck to this point. So it seems like we turned it around towards the end of the 4-week stretch. So really excited to see what we got when the green flag falls.
And a little bit more incentive for you this week since we saw you last. Another family member. Congratulations on the birth of your daughter, and got to buy some diapers and shoes, so another reason to step on the gas.
For sure. It's been exciting 8 days. 8 days old today. Macy Lee, born July 1st, so we're excited to have a daughter. It puts things in perspective. You know, you get your boy, Brantley, he's 2 years old. You know, it's a dream come true, but it's just something about a little girl.
That's Timothy Peters looking to improve and continue this streak he's been on with the 17.
Hermie, thank you very much. When we look at the championship standings, you see Timothy Peters in the 7th position as of right now. Matt Crafton leads the way, followed by Tyler Reddick, and coincidentally, because of no qualifying or practice, this is also your starting lineup for the first 10 drivers, as well as championship standings. Now, coming up, we will check in with our 2-time defending champion. He starts on the pole, but is he concerned about a lack of practice? We'll ask him. The Camping World Truck Series is ready to do battle tonight in Kentucky. Hello and welcome back to the Setup Show. When it comes to mile-and-a-half tracks this year, series points leader Matt Crafton has been the guy to beat, taking wins in 3 of the 4 so far.
Matt Crafton is making a statement. If you're going to win a championship, you're going to have to come through me. And the statement has been made.
He's the model of consistency. And when it comes to mile-and-a-halves, he's unbeatable. 3rd win of the year, Crafton does it at Texas.
Now, here is an interesting thing about those victories. In all 3 of Matt's wins this season, the same guy, Daniel Suarez, has been the runner-up in each. Suarez doesn't run the series full-time, but he is in the field tonight. Will that trend continue? With more, let's head down to Caitlin Mincy.
Well, Johnny, Matt Crafton will be looking for his 4th win of the year here at Kentucky Speedway. Never won here before, but you've got 16 starts at this racetrack. How do you think that's going to give you an advantage over these other guys who didn't get any track time in today?
Well, I did the rookie meeting this morning. I looked and noticed I would say there was 15 to 20 rookies in the meeting. So I'm feeling fairly confident with my Menards Toyota Tundra because I'm starting at the front and don't have to go in there with an unknown. I mean, it's really going to be scary going in there unknown, not turning 1 lap. So I said, starting back a little bit where some of these guys are and having no idea where their travels are, see if it's going to hit the racetrack, getting in turn 1. It's going to be very hairy for the first few laps for sure.
That's Matt Crafton starting P1 for tonight's race, looking for his 4th win of the year. Johnny?
Caitlin, thank you very much. Let's look at the tracks that Matt Crafton has not won on when it comes to the 1.5-mile layout. His best finish ever at Kentucky was 3rd. He could fix that tonight. Chicagoland 2nd, Vegas 2nd, and also 2nd in the season finale at Homestead, Miami. Way back in 2003, Carl Edwards grabbed the checkered flag in Kentucky. The win has some pretty interesting significance. We'll tell you what when we return. We are counting down to the command to fire the engines for the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series at Kentucky, and that is very good news because we've seen a little bit more than our share of rain over the last couple of days there, but the track is dry now. Let's take a look at which manufacturers have won how much this year. By virtue of Eric Jones' win, now Toyota takes the lead. They broke a tie with Ford. Toyota has 4 now. Ford has 3, and for the bow tie, 2 wins so far this season. We crank up the time machine now and go way back to July of 2003. It was 12 years ago when a young kid named Carl Edwards drove the number 99 truck and flipped out with a win at Kentucky. The victory was his first ever in the Camping World Truck Series. That night was also the last time a Ford truck went to winner's circle at Kentucky. Will that change tonight? Let's go to Caitlin for more.
Well, Johnny, one guy who's piloting a Ford is Tyler Reddick. And Tyler, you're making your first series debut here at Kentucky Speedway. Didn't get any track time in today. What are you expecting to see once we go racing?
Well, right now, the Xfinity cars did lay down a little bit of rubber for us, so that's going to be helpful. But our number 19 Broken Bow Records F-150 is pretty fast. And I got all the faith in the world in Doug Randolph and our crew. They do an outstanding job on the truck. And Brad had a really good truck here, or not too good of a truck here last year, but Keselowski worked on the package to make it better for us this year. So we should be good.
Seeing as you didn't get on track, who is someone you've leaned on throughout the day to just get some advice and some insight on how Kentucky Speedway runs?
Definitely Brad Keselowski and Ryan Blaney, Matt Crafton, about anybody I could talk their ear off. All the information never can hurt. The more the merrier. But really, it only does so much good because laps are laps, and I have 0. So it'll be interesting going into turn 1. I'll have to get myself very familiar very fast, but I'm in a good spot.
Well, good luck to you. Tyler Reddick rolls off second for tonight's race. Johnny?
And Caitlin, that certainly is the big story as we head into racing at Kentucky. Todd, there's a lot of drivers with no experience on this racetrack, but this weekend for this race, no one has any experience because qualifying and all practice was washed out.
Yeah, how about our front 2 rows? The only guy with any experience is Matt Crafton. He's the only one that's ever raced here. Second row, Eric Jones, Daniel Suarez. They don't have any races here, but at least they got some Xfinity practice, and that makes a big difference. They know where the bumps are. They understand where to let off, all those kinds of things. So at least they got some experience. Now, the guy that I'd be worried is Tyler Reddick. Now, we just heard from him. He didn't seem too worried about it, but I'd be scared if I was him.
Yeah, and Cody Coughlin of the famous Racing Coughlins, he will be making his series debut tonight. And, of course, he comes from a long line of straight-line racers. We will see how he does on the oval. Thanks, everybody, for coming along for the ride. Truck Series Racing is coming up next.
Hey, hey, hey,
Drivers like character, and this racetrack has a lot of character. That's the qualifying lap right there.
Now they're 3 wide as they go into turn 1. No adjustments on the Van Holst Toyota.
3 wide.
Is that going to work?
Man, struck in the wall. John West Conley. Consistently one of the fastest trucks on the racetrack.
Oh, problem.
The 13 got into the wall, racing his way up into the top 5.
Such a dominant performance.
Very impressive.
The rain is gone, the track is dry, and we're ready to go racing live on Fox Sports 1 for the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series from Kentucky Speedway. Round number 9, ready to go green here in Sparta, Kentucky. And a couple of drivers to keep your eye on tonight, like former USAC National Midget Champion Chris Bell. He finished 5th in his Truck Series debut at Iowa. Tonight he tackles Kentucky for the first time. Number 29, Ryan Blaney, has only 1 start in the NASCAR trucks this year. He started on the pole and finished 7th at Dover, but he is a former Xfinity Series winner here in Kentucky. Number 4, Eric Jones, finally put it all together and ended an 8-race winless streak with a victory in Iowa. He goes for career win number 2 on a 1.5 miles tonight. Points leader Matt Crafton comes to Kentucky with a lot of confidence. 3 wins in 2015 and 6 of his 8 career wins on a 1.5 mile track. Let's head down trackside now for tonight's pre-race ceremonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please rise and remove your hats as the Kentucky National Guard presents our nation's colors. Remain standing as Larry Campbell of Kentucky Raceway Ministries offers tonight's invocation.
Let's pray. Father, we come to you tonight, Lord, just thanking you for all your blessings. Father, we ask you for a great night of racing tonight. Father, we just pray that you might go with the drivers and the crews. Lord, give us safety. Lord, go with the people all the fans that are here. Father, watch over them. Lord, tonight as we think about racing, we think about Buddy Baker. And Lord, we just ask at this time that you may just comfort him and his family. Father, wrap your arms of love around him. And Lord, we ask for a special healing on Buddy Baker. Father, we just pray for our servicemen all around the country. And Father, we pray for our country. Lord, we ask that you might just bless America. Father, once again, we love you and we thank you for all you've done. It's in Jesus' name we pray. And all God's people said, amen.
Here to perform our national anthem representing the Red, White, and Blue Tour for disabled veterans, please welcome United States Air Force veteran Rick Schroeder.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare of bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
We'll fire the engines and go racing when we come back to Kentucky live on Fox Sports 1 after this. Trucks are lined up down on pit road. We're just about set to fire the engines, get this race underway. And earlier this morning when we all got here, a lot of questions if we'd be at this point in the day. But the skies have dried up and so has the racetrack. There's some stories to keep an eye on here too. No practice due to the rain, no qualifying either. There will be a competition caution at lap 20. So you have to wonder about the experience. Will the rookies or the veterans have a huge advantage here tonight? Well, welcome inside our booth, Ralph Sheen, alongside Phil Parsons and Michael Waltrip. So let's find out what you guys think on the clipboard. What do you think?
Well, Ralph, Michael, I raced for over 20 years, and one time in my career did I start a race without any practice, and that was Richmond back in a bush race in 1997. And there's so many unanswered questions. We have 16 drivers here that have never made a start in a truck here at Kentucky. So I think the first lap is going to be unbelievable here. But we do have a few guys that actually ran that Xfinity practice a few moments ago for an hour. And this is the list right here. Eric Jones, we know he's going to be fast. Daniel Suarez, he's going to be fast. They both were fast in that Xfinity practice. So those guys will have a bit of an advantage. But for a lot of these guys, it's certainly an unknown.
Oh, and I love it. You've got experience versus the rookie. And, you know, you think that the experience would have the advantage. Look at guys like Johnny Sauter, like Matt Crafton, even Timothy Peters, good on mile and a halves, obviously wins on those tracks for those guys. But I like Eric Jones. Never turned a lap in a truck here at Kentucky, along with Spencer Gallagher, a young man that's been on a roll lately, a couple of top 10 finishes in his last two starts and 5 top 12s in a row. He's fast. I just like the wild cards. That's my personality.
I like a guy who maybe likes a slippery and bumpy racetrack, because he'd have a big advantage if he's comfortable with that tonight.
Yeah, we're going to have a competition on lap 20, so that's going to give the teams an opportunity to work on these trucks a little bit, and then these drivers a time to maybe think about it for a second and then go back racing.
And they certainly certainly had their eyes all over that Xfinity practice that just wrapped up, watching the lines, watching the grooves, seeing where the guys went, how the track was sticking, and the track was fast. It's going to be a great race, Ralph.
And talking to anybody who would give you a little bit of information about what it did. Well, we got to fire these engines up, so let's head downstairs to get the command.
Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Here to give the command, please welcome our Grand Marshal, President of K&L Ready Mix, Ron Colley.
Drivers, start your engines.
Sound when the only thunder you hear is not from the sky, but from the race engines. We'll be back to Go Green right after this.
Bluegrass State. Cool mountains. Love it.
Drivers, start your engine!
Bumpy. Rough.
Great view of the bumps right there.
Looks like he forgot to put his shocks on. Bumpy. Rough.
Turns 3 and 4 are bumpy as well.
Bumpy. Really rough.
And around they go. Johnny Sauter into the wall.
Kentucky is bumpy, but a very, very fun racetrack.
Quite popular, quite possibly the bumpiest racetrack in NASCAR, but that's a fun challenge, too, for these drivers sometimes.
I can promise you the drivers love it. The crew chiefs, it makes them scratch their head a bit. But when you go down a corner and your truck is handling good and it's bouncing through there, that's just a good feeling. That's what a pickup truck's supposed to do.
You're going to earn your paycheck tonight, that's for sure, from inside these trucks. And here's a look at this racetrack, Phil. 14 degrees in the turn.
Yeah, here's the numbers, and that doesn't say really what this racetrack's about. But you see, relatively flat for a mile and a half, only 14 degrees. But the story about this racetrack is it's rough all the way around it, even the straightaways.
Well, that's our Camping World track description. Now here's our shell race analysis. 225 miles tonight, Michael.
Yeah, we're estimating 3 pit stops. And I think the interesting thing about that, Phil, is I talked about the crew chiefs scratching their heads. They don't know what about tire wear right now. They don't understand if they can take too late. We could see some strategies that could really mix things up at the end.
Yeah, last 2 years we saw this race won on old tires.
Well, because there is no practice, there is no qualifying, our starting grid goes based on the NASCAR rulebook. Here's the way it looks here tonight as we get ready to move the trucks out onto the track for the UNOH 225. Matt Crafton, Tyler Reddick make up that front row.
3 wins for Crafton, and Tyler Reddick's got 2 of them. That's been the class of the Truck Series in 2015.
Strong second row, though, with Eric Jones and Daniel Suarez out of the KBM stable.
And I love Ryan Blaney. He will be a truck to beat tonight. I can promise you that. Let's check in with Eric Jones and see how it's going down there. Hey, Eric Jones, it's Michael and Phil and Ralph up in the Fox Sports 1 booth. You got a copy, bud?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, we heard Daniel Suarez describe this track as bumpy. What do you think about this place? You've been on it here today.
Well, it's got character, I guess you can say that, but it's a pretty fun place. I mean, it's, I can't say for sure if it's really racy or not, but it's pretty fun. I enjoy it. So it's going to be interesting here with no practice in the truck, so we'll see what we got.
After leading a dominant 40% of the laps in 2015, you finally drove that truck to victory lane in Iowa. Can you explain what a relief that was?
It definitely felt good to get this Thunder to victory lane finally for, not only myself, but all these guys on the crew here. They really deserved it, and it felt good to finally get one for everybody. So hopefully this kind of gets our season rolling, and we can click off a few more here along the way pretty soon.
Well, young man, you've been a lot of fun to watch in 2015. Thanks for all the highlights, and watch out for the booms.
Absolutely, thank you.
Onboard cameras tonight, too. And, oh, by the way, we were talking about the NASCAR rulebook setting that starting grid. That's by owner points.
By owner points. How about Cody Coughlin now? When he takes the green flag, guys, it will be the first lap he has ever run in a truck. He does have some ARCA experience here. He had a top 5 finish last year at the Kentucky Motor Speedway.
I love Ryan Blaney. I talked about the speed of that young man. He's going to roll off in P6 in the Cooper Standard Career for Vets Ford. Watch for him to be a story all night long. He'll charge up there and challenge Eric Jones.
Guys, we just talked to Eric Jones. He's going to be driving the World Games, the Special Olympics World Games Toyota, and he will start from the 3rd spot.
Life is good for Matt Crafton. He's a point leader. He's got 3 wins, all of them coming on a 1.5-mile track, and that's where we're at tonight. He's going to roll off from the 1st position in the Menards Ideal Door Toyota.
Let's head downstairs to get the final word from our pit reporters tonight. Kicking things off, here's Vince Welch.
Well, Ralph, you guys talked about the fact that there was no practice today. I don't see how that couldn't help the veterans over those that are here for the very first time. A guy like Matt Crafton, a 2-time series defending series champion. As Michael mentioned, he's already won 3 times this season, all on 1.5 miles. He has more starts at Kentucky than any other driver in the field. And Johnny Sauter, he has the experience to handle this challenge as well. A former pole winner here at Kentucky. Half his career wins have come on 1.5 miles. Sauter and Crafton, a couple of veterans who've seen it all through the years. No practice, no problem for these two. Got to figure they're going to be contenders tonight. Hermie?
Well, Vince Welch, so far in the 2015 season, Justin Boston has been the driver of the number 54 for Kyle Busch Motorsports. But tonight, it's Christopher Bell. Now, according to the team, there was an issue with a team sponsor that forced the team to terminate a sponsorship contract, opening the door for Christopher Bell to come in and drive this 54. This is only his 2nd career start. He made his career's first start at Iowa a couple weeks ago, came on with a top 5 finish, but a lot went on midweek this week at KBM. But Christopher Bell behind the wheel of the 54 tonight at Kentucky. Ralph?
All right, Hermie, thank you. Obviously, this is the first time these drivers have had a chance to see the racetrack. Let's hear what Matt Crafton in that bright yellow 88 Menards truck had to say to his crew about the look of the racetrack.
This track is so wet down there where I just went through on the bottom. Unbelievable, man. Yeah, that's where I was going to point out a few spots that they had trouble with in that last practice that people complained and talked about. So I'll let you know as we go, and I'm sure you'll find a lot more.
Said it was wet on the bottom. I bet you he's glad he's on the top.
Yeah, absolutely. And these guys, we watched a lot of the Xfinity practice, and most of the guys really stayed away from that bottom lane in the event of that a little bit of moisture down there.
And, you know, Phil, we saw the Xfinity cars run some really fast laps, 180 miles an hour on a 1.5 mile track. The track was perfect when those cars quit practice. But the Weepers, they're strange birds. The phenomenon of what they do coming up out of the racetrack, that could have redeveloped while there wasn't any activity on the track.
Phil, this is what they did to fix that weeping situation.
Yeah, they had weepers up there, up at the top of your screen right there, and they just sawed down where that water would have a place to go down to the apron of the racetrack. And again, the bottom of the screen, actually, this is right.
You can see how effective, too, Ralph, that this cut is. Look at all the water that is following that cut down to the apron and off the racing surface. That is really, really effective work by this Kentucky crew. And I want to tell you, I want to say thank you for all the effort for the last 2
hours
days.
and hours and hours.
It's just been amazing to watch these guys and ladies try to drive this track out and get it ready for racing. And we haven't missed anything. We're getting ready to go green flag racing in the truck series.
Those guys in the Air Titans put in a lot of laps today. Really did a great job. All right, here we go. Finally, ready to go racing here at Kentucky. The first time the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series has seen this racetrack, all 1.5 miles of it in anger.
And Phil, we're talking 180 miles an hour. We're going to go close to 190 into the corners. Can you explain the apprehension of these drivers, what it feels like the first time they're going to hammer these things?
And flat corners. Here's Cody Kaufman going to ride along with him. But remember, when he takes the green flag, first lap ever in a truck.
Well, here we go. Green flag is in the air, foot to the floor, and we're racing down to turn 1.
Great start by Tyler Reddick, and I agree with exactly what he did. Matt Crafton left a little bit early, but then he backed up. When Crafton left, Reddick went with him and got the lead. But Crafton's fighting back on the outside.
Look, these guys fan out already 3 wide.
Down the backstretch, and everybody gets through 1 and 2. How will they do in 3 and 4?
Remember that 4 truck of Eric Jones, the 51 of Suarez, both came off the track from Xfinity practice.
But that's an advantage, and it could be a little bit of confusion for those young men. This truck is much different than an Xfinity car, and they've never raced here at this racetrack.
Look at Suarez coming through the middle to take over second place.
You know, you wonder if some of that KBM information came over from the Gibbs Xfinity camp to KBM with that 51 and that 4 truck.
This is a big push that Suarez is getting from Crafton. They both clear Eric Jones, and that opens the door on the high side for Ryan Blaney to look for his way around Jones.
Blaney in that blue 29 on board with him.
And we know he knows his way around this racetrack. As you mentioned, Ralph, he's won here in the Xfinity Series.
John Hunter Nemechek getting his first laps on a 1.5-mile Speedway in that black number 8.
There comes Brandon Jones around the outside as well. The multiple grooves, they're so much fun. The bumps, that's fun. That's why these drivers love racing at Kentucky.
In that battle with John Hunter Nemechek is Christopher Bell. Keep an eye on him in that 54, the open wheel standout.
Ooh, Ryan Blaney really loose down there.
And Phil, that's one thing about the bumps, especially when you're in the situation that Blaney was in. He drove in on the inside of Eric Jones. That means the truck's going to bounce around, and he doesn't have all of his aerodynamic downforce, and that truck jumped sideways on him. Luckily, he saved it and didn't hit Jones.
Here's Blaney. Watch him in the 29. On the replay.
We've seen these two racing hard together in the Xfinity Series and have trouble. Blaney tries to hook the bottom. Look at him right on the yellow line, but the truck just snaps loose on him down there.
Remember, some of the guys were talking about being a little damp down there on the bottom of the racetrack.
Battle for the lead. Suarez goes for it on the bottom. Takes the spot away from the 19 of Reddick.
Could this be Daniel Suarez's night? Ralph, we've watched him ever since they unloaded the trucks at Daytona. Every practice session shows steady improvement, constantly racing better and better, challenging for the lead and wins, and now early in Kentucky, he's out front.
John West-Tannelly in the 05 Zaxby's machine to the inside of Sauter. That moves him up to 7th.
Remember, John West is another guy that just came off the racetrack with that Xfinity car.
6 laps in the book here. Don't forget, we're going to have that mandatory competition caution on lap 20. Trying to gather as much information as you can in a hurry.
Gathering information is a bit of a challenge for Daniel Suarez. He's never raced on these 1.5-mile race tracks in a truck. He doesn't have a whole lot of experience in America events, but he seems to have his legs up under him right now.
Well, that's right, and you see Kyle Busch Motorsports trucks running first and third with Suarez on the point. Talked with crew chief Jerry Baxter before the race today, and he reminded me that the KBM trucks finished 1-2 here last year, so despite no practice today, Jerry was confident in their baseline setup that they would be good again tonight. And then, of course, Suarez and Jones both got practice laps in the Xfinity car, so a little bit of an advantage maybe for the KBM drivers and trucks coming into this one tonight. Strong early on.
Well, it doesn't matter where that confidence comes from, right? It could come from the driver himself or just the confidence he has in his team to give him the right setup.
And remember, guys, these trucks were supposed to practice for 4 hours, and that all got washed out. So they may have been trying some setups, but they knew if they were not going to get any practice, we better go with something that worked. They may went back to last year's setups like Jerry was talking about. They finished 1-2, and they're pretty good tonight.
Yeah, that worked last year, and it looks like it's working really good. Looks like really well tonight.
On board with Matt Crafton, he runs in 4th. That's Jones just to his outside.
And Crafton's been all over the back of Eric Jones, cutting the bottom really well. I like a truck here at Kentucky that'll run that yellow line. We've seen guys make the pass down there. There's a lot of room here. You can run really high or really low. Crafton's truck looks like it likes the low side early.
I really like the attitude of that 88 truck. That splitter's right down on the racetrack. He's a little bit lower than the 4 of Eric Jones.
Yeah, and usually when you follow a truck, your nose lifts a little bit because of losing the aerodynamic downforce, but Crafton's truck's right on the road.
Daniel Suarez, who has finished top 10 in all 6 starts this season, leads here at Kentucky. Daniel Suarez making his first series start in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series at Kentucky. Getting up to a pretty good jump, leading this one.
Yeah, he did run the ARCA Racing Series event here last year for his first super speedway start on a 1.5 miles. Did a nice job, finished one of the top 5. That's helped him a little bit here too, I think.
You know, he looks really comfortable out front, Phil, and I think that advantage he might have had from running that Xfinity practice, that's out the window now. These guys are talented. You take Matt Crafton, he's the champion, 2-time champion. He's leading the points. He's won in the 1.5 miles. after a lap or two, all that's out the window. He's right on his game.
He started on the pole. Of course, we set the field tonight based on owner's points since there was no qualifying, no practice today. If you're just joining us, this is the first time the trucks have been on the racetrack at speed. Once we went green, Crafton dropped back to fourth, but guys, he's worked his way up to third and is closing in on the back of Eric Jones in a fight for second.
Yeah, and that's been the battle this year, really. Matt Crafton, 3 wins on mile and a half. Eric Jones led almost 40% of all the laps that we've run this year as we ride along with Matt Crafton. That's been the story of the early part of this season.
And it looks like Crafton's going to be part of the story tonight. We talked about his truck down on that yellow line early in the race. Now he's moved up a half a groove. The experienced veteran Matt Crafton is. He knows there's a lot of options out there, and he's going to try to experiment early in the going with all those options so he can tell his crew chief, Junior Joyner, this is what I need. This is how I need to go faster.
And remember, originally these guys were only going to have 4 sets of tires for this race, but because of the lack of practice and that 20-lap competition caution, they've given them an extra set of tires. So they started with the one on the truck, 4 sets in the pits.
Watching Sauter, Hermie, he runs in 9th in the 98.
Yeah, Ralph, the 98 of Johnny Sauter, he is the teammate to Matt Crafton. His truck, 2 problems. He is way too tight through the center of the corner, sliding the right front tire, and as we see him go down the backstretch, he is complaining about the truck getting down on the splitter in the center of the corner, especially down in turns 1 and 2. So nobody looking forward to this competition caution much more than Johnny Sauter. They need to come to pit road and free up the 98 and get the nose off the racetrack a little bit.
You know, if they get the nose off the racetrack, that may help free that thing up a little bit.
And you know, Phil, that's the veteran talking. Johnny Sauter knows just what he's looking for. He's reporting to his crew what he needs. They'll make those adjustments, and he can drive to the front. What about our man John West Townley? He's really fast early in the going. I looked the last couple laps. He's been in the top 3 for lap times. He just makes the move into the 6th spot. Up to 5th now. He drives around Ryan Blaney.
You know you passed Ryan Blaney. You've done something. Again, we talked about the fact that he's an Xfinity winner here.
We talked about the veterans before the race. I happen to like Suarez and Jones, the young guys. Add John West Townley to that list. He's coming as well.
I like the youngster. How about Christopher Bell up to 8th?
And Ralph, you're right. His times are solid. He's been in the top 5 with his lap time. You know, when you're new to this and you just jump out there for the first time, you better tiptoe for a lap or 2. You might not gain any ground on the start.
Well, he might have for a lap or 2.
Yeah, but this is a dirt tracker. These guys are used to just showing up the track and do a little bit of wheel packing. They throw the green, and you're off to qualifying and racing.
Yeah, but he's not used to doing it at 185 miles an hour, and that's what he's faced with tonight.
Good point.
Now he's about to wreck.
Oh, Christopher, hang on there. Just when we're talking good about him.
And we're getting ready to have a caution flag, so don't spin that thing out now.
Well, I want to talk good about him again. That was a heck of a save.
Sure was. Waiting on that competition caution.
And Phil, you know, when you make a save like that, it just goes in the data bank, and you're like, all right, I see what I need to do to save these things. Sometimes, there's the caution. Sometimes when you get loose like that for the first time, you crash. He learned a valuable lesson. His truck's still in one piece.
All right, so you've had 20 laps at speed. What were you looking for? What do you think you found?
Just a balance. Looking for a balance, looking for a smoother place on the racetrack, somewhere to make that thing work. I think right now Daniel Suarez is probably pretty happy, along with Eric Jones Crafton. Then you have guys like Johnny Sauter that may need some pretty serious adjustments. But again, we're going to get 3 tries at this, at least, to adjust on these trucks. And these crew chiefs are good enough. You give them 2-3 tries at it, they'll get her dialed in.
And that's what I've been so impressed, Ralph, with Eric Jones. He just has a way of communicating what he needs. Check out this save by Chris Bell.
He was chasing down Timothy Peters and said, oop, lost a little bit of grip there.
Ah, golly, I love seeing that. I'm so happy that he was able to keep it under him. You can see him gaining on Peters on the entry, probably getting licking his chops, thinking I'm coming to the front, boys, and just got a little bit overexcited.
Sits in 8th as they make their way to pit road behind Peters and Blaney. Suarez, Jones, Crafton, Reddick, and Townley, the top 5.
Been really impressed with John West Townley, like we were talking a few moments ago. Made his way up into the top 5. Good run early on for John West.
The pits are open. Trucks making their way through turns 3 and 4. They'll make their way down pit road, and we'll see who takes a big swing at it and who just makes a minor adjustment.
chance to make some ground here. These guys will try to do everything they can to get to their box as fast as they can so their crews can go to work.
Waiting on them when they get there will be Hermie Sadler and Vince Welch. Hermie, you go first.
Ryan Blaney told his crew chief, Chad Kendrick, I'm so loose, I feel like my right rear tire is flat. It'll be 4 tires fuel. They will lower the track bar, add wedge, and make a right rear air pressure adjustment. Vince.
Well, the 4-car of Eric Jones, top of your screen. He says the truck's just a little bit free all the way through the corner. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment, going to be a 4-tire change, a chassis adjustment on that truck as well. No changes on the 51 of Daniel Suarez, although he says it's a little bit free on entry. And the 88 of Matt Crafton says he just feels like it needs to be better at the start of the run. 4 tires and fuel. Crafton is the first one off pit road.
Well, actually, it looked like Reddick was, right?
Tyler Reddick.
Yeah.
He get 2 tires?
Looked like he got 2 tires. He beat those guys out so bad, I think he got 2 tires.
There he goes. Tyler Reddick will lead him back to the green when we return to Kentucky. Back here, Kentucky getting ready for the restart after the mandatory caution. Give these drivers and teams a chance to rethink their setup since we didn't have any practice or qualifying today. Guys, his first start of the day, maybe a little bit sketchy as to what went down here?
It just looked like to me Crafton tried to play a bit of a game. You see him kind of pull away from everyone and then slow down a little bit. It's like he initially got in the throttle, but he never went wide open. But when he broke, everybody else jumped, and Tyler Reddick didn't have anybody in his way, so it gave him the lead.
Let's watch from his onboard camera. Listen to him. You heard him go, and then he slowed up, actually back off the throttle. You could see Suarez almost run into the back of him, and Tyler Reddick said, hey, if you're going, it's time to go. And he went. He did nothing wrong.
Reddick did just what he should have done. Crafton argued over the radio with his team that he didn't like what he saw, but from this vantage point, it looked like just a really solid start for Tyler Reddick.
And the initial start to the race, Reddick was on the inside, Crafton was on the outside, and they flip-flopped here. Let's see how it plays out.
Remember that 88 truck has 4 tires. Tyler Reddick only 2 tires on that pit stop.
And also remember, I think it's worth noting, Phil, Reddick's had a lot of trouble on starts and restarts in 2015. So it'll be interesting to see if he can get a solid one here. He's going to have to get better at that.
Yeah, he had a great one on the initial start. Let's see what he does here.
Hey, go.
Here we go. Green flag.
Been solid 2 for 2 right now.
These guys go down to turn 1 and just run wide open through their field. They don't have their momentum up yet, so there's enough grip down there. They can just go around this racetrack wide open, and Reddick used that to his advantage.
And every one of the crew chiefs is going to be keeping an eye on this 19 of Reddick. How is he able to do with 20 laps in his tires and only going with 2 tires? So far, so good for a lap.
It's a pretty bold call, don't you think, this early without any practice time to see how your tires are wearing? They must have a lot of confidence in that 19 truck and its setup.
Jones on the outside of Crafton. Here comes Blaney with him in the blue. And
no trouble.
Gallagher, hang on.
What a save by Spencer Gallagher.
Brings out the yellow.
That was such a great save. NASCAR thought he had wrecked already. that tells you what shape he had that truck in.
That's 2 great saves we've seen in
Going down the hill, and all of a sudden the nose sat down and it was gone.
Yeah, great save, though, by Spencer Gallagher.
Wasn't gone, Spencer, because you caught it.
It was going.
Yeah, it was gone so far. Like Michael said, NASCAR threw the caution.
I don't blame him. It scared me. I talked about how strong he's been this year and the great moves he's made. Look at that.
He's 45 degrees sideways here and saves it.
He needs to save that one for Eldora because that's the way he's going to drive through 3 and 4 in a couple of weeks.
That's a highlight reel right there.
Great stuff from some of the young drivers here in the Camping World Truck Series. Stay with us. Saturday, the Tigers are in Minnesota to take on the Twins in a game you can only see on Fox Sports 1 beginning at 4 p.m. Eastern. Then at 7 p.m. Eastern, it's Baseball Night in America on your local Fox station as the Yankees battle the Red Sox or the Cardinals square off against the Pirates or Nationals-Orioles. It's all this week on your home for baseball every Saturday. Fox and Fox Sports 1, and I know, Phil, you're not missing that Tiger game.
Miguel Cabrera on the DL for the first time in his career. He's hitting .350 this year. He's going to be gone for about 6 weeks.
How great is the Fox family of networks? Got the World Cup last week with the women winning. Amazing show. And then today I was watching the U.S. Open for the women as well. Now we're racing trucks.
And All-Star Baseball coming up next week
from right here in Cincinnati.
It just keeps coming.
Just across the river, I should say, in Cincinnati.
Right.
Yeah, we're in Kentucky.
Yeah. It's your home state.
It is. You ever wonder why it's beautiful blue grass? Well, you stay here for a couple days, you'll see why it rains a lot.
We saw it today. Lots of it today. Fortunately, Kentucky likes its racing, too, and it's dried up perfectly, and we're ready to go. Here's Cody Coughlin, who now has 30 laps of experience racing here.
Yeah, up to 16th. Pretty good start for Cody Coughlin. Great bumper. Great view from this bumper cam here.
Another chance for Tyler Reddick to get a solid start. He looked good on the outside against Crafton. Now he's got Eric Jones down there to battle for this lead.
Green once again in Kentucky.
How about Ryan Blaney going to try to push Eric Jones by Reddick?
And he does it. Look at the start that Jones gets.
Luis Suarez got a little loose in between 1 and 2.
Look at the Crafton with the run on the outside. And Phil, you're right. The key to the lead for Eric Jones was that push that Blaney gave him. You can really help a guy out when you get your nose right up on that tailgate, and that's what happened there.
How about Daniel Suarez in that 51? Led the majority of those opening 21 laps or so. Now he's all the way back here in 8th.
Yeah, he's back here in some dirty air, so we're going to see how that Aris truck handles in some dirty air. He's already made his way by John West Townley, and that's Zaxby's Chevrolet.
That's a different truck right now, Ralph. You got 6-8 trucks out in front of you. The air is so disturbed. He was running in perfectly clean air, a lot of downforce on the nose. Now he's dealing with a truck that doesn't want to handle right. Be interesting to see if he can keep it under him.
Well, Reddick was right down with his left side below the yellow line in the center of the corner. Right now, it looks like those two tires are working pretty well.
On board with Crafton. Tucking in behind Reddick. Now moves a little to the outside.
It looks like he lost the front end a little bit there in the center of the corner. You saw him lose a couple truck lengths to Tyler Reddick.
Jones with 1 win this year. Reddick with 2 and Crafton with 3.
Something's bad wrong with the 14 truck on the inside there. That's Daniel Hemrick. He comes in here with 4 top 10s in a row. He's made multiple pit stops on both our caution periods. Ryan Blaney around the outside of Matt Crafton to take over that 3rd spot. And that probably stemmed from that momentum loss by Matt Crafton back here a lap ago.
Well, and just think about Ryan Blaney. We know how talented he is, the way he's driven the Xfinity car. Heck, he finished in the top 5 in a Cup car. He said his right rear was so loose, he could barely hang on to it. He calls the crew, gets an adjustment, and now he's moving forward.
Vince, what's the story on Hemrick's car?
Yeah, more problems for that 14 and Daniel Hemrick. On an earlier restart, got into the 23 and did some pretty significant damage to the right front. We saw them addressing the right front fender and also the splitter damage. And now he's back to pit road, coming to the stop for the 3rd time already tonight. And as Phil noted, quite a blow after leading 37 laps and finishing 8th at Iowa in the last race out. They had some momentum coming in, but tonight's not going to be the night for Hemrick in the 14.
Blaney sitting here.
Back to the
position.
4th spot. Matt Crafton just drove around him.
Won here in Kentucky in the Xfinity Series, September of 2013. John Hunter Nemechek getting his first laps here in a 1.5 mile racetrack here tonight, Hurley, and right now he's running in 6th.
Good run so far. They started 13th. He's up to 6th. Looking at Timothy Peters, looking to the high side, looking to run up in the top 5. And you want to know how bad John Hunter Nemechek and his team want to win? Not only a lot of resources on the racetrack, but they have hired the over-the-wall crew for Jimmy Johnson. The 48 Cup Series team is actually pitting John Hunter Nemechek on pit road tonight. All hands on deck. Try to get this 8 to victory lane, Vince.
Well, we've had so much rain throughout the course of this weekend. And, of course, today these teams did not get to practice at all because the track was so wet. It looks dry out there right now, but several drivers up and down pit road complaining about weepers, including the 51 of Daniel Suarez.
Just take a good look at your weepers right here. the bottom of one. You'll also have some in the bottom groove before you get to that resurface patch before the start-finish line. Pretty wet right there at the bottom. He's away at spin my tires, I think.
Suarez definitely spun the tires on that last restart, cost him a couple of spots. He's had a fast truck, has been up in front for much of the night tonight, but right now he is 7th.
You guys talked earlier about the attitude of the race truck and how it sits on the track. Some ways tonight, it's a little bit about the attitude of the driver inside as well, right? He's got to be able to feel confident that he can overcome the bumps and the wetness on the racetrack.
Yeah, and Jerry Baxter is a great crew chief, and he builds a lot of confidence in Daniel Suarez. They work so well together. And, you know, the attitude on that 51 truck obviously looks a little bit different than some of the other front-running trucks, but he's got a lot of speed, a little loose on entry there, but he's able to drive the truck through it, and he's proven to be fast, even though, Phil, we like the way the 17's nose looks better than the 51's. It's right down on the road.
Certainly is. And they're searching around a little bit. We saw Suarez get loose a couple laps ago, getting down the corner. Well, he knows maybe to enter the corner a little bit lower, a little bit higher there. How about right now, let's just drive by the 17 of Timothy Peters and get another spot.
To the inside he goes, and the 51 will battle alongside. See if he can drive off the corner and take the spot away.
Side by side right in front of them. John Hunter Nemechek's going after Ryan Blaney to take over that 5th spot, and he's got it.
Nemechek's running to the front. Here comes Suarez around Peters. Another truck that's looks like it's on the move.
And Nemechek actually took 4th. He's moving up through the field as we watch Crafton now get to the inside of Reddick. That's for 2nd. The top 3 have won 3 of the last 4 races this season. Jones at Iowa, Crafton at Texas, and Reddick at Dover.
Yeah, Crafton not able to make that pass yet on Reddick. Again, we've run about 20 laps. We had a few caution laps in between, but with those right side tires on Reddick, I think so far so good for them.
Yeah, he hasn't given up anything. He got the lead, and he's been able to hang right there at the front. So we've got to put a check mark against getting 2 tires late to grab some track position and maybe parlay that into a win.
Ooh, look at Reddick getting loose. He hung the rear end of that 19 out on the entry into that corner. And Crafton now creeps up to the inside.
Just that much momentum lost by Tyler Reddick allows Crafton to pull up even with him as they get down into turn number 1.
Got some lap trucks up ahead, though, that he's going to have to deal with. 63 of Jake Jennings. Are they going to split him? No, Jennings goes to the bottom. Crafton's persistent about grabbing that spot.
Yeah, good heads-up move by Jennings, seeing that side-by-side battle was coming.
Reddick doing everything he can to fight him off on the outside. Another driver who come up through the dirt ranks. Feels quite comfortable with the rear end of his vehicle sliding around as we see it. Caution is out.
Brandon Brown, the 86 truck, is around. Brennan had such a good run at Dover his last time out. Had a top 15 finish. Got a little bit of sponsorship from Coastal Carolina where he goes to school.
Make sure all your tires are up before you take off and you don't rip off a quarter panel or something.
He was running 22nd. Looks like Forrester in the 08 will get the free pass.
You know, I think that extra set of tires might bring these guys down pit road on this caution flag. We've been about a little bit over 40% to a fuel run from that lap 20 caution.
And remember, Reddick took 2.
Yeah, and fuel is probably the reason why they'll come more than anything. But now that they have the tires,
put them on.
Slap 2 on there at least.
Absolutely. Reddick probably goes 4. Maybe the other guys go 2. I don't think you want to stay out here knowing that we've run over 20 laps. Again, 40% of a fuel run. I don't think you want to take that chance of getting a green flag run and having green flag pit stops.
And John Hunter Nemechek runs in 4th right now. As we heard, they brought in the 48 pit crew. This is a great opportunity for him to at least maintain track position, potentially even gain if that pit crew uncorks a great stop.
And we know those guys are good, but you have to remember now, a truck is different than a car. You got a lot of different overhang stuff like that, so it's not an automatic matter of those guys going to be better than everybody else.
Right. Well, let's see what happens.
I think they head that way, don't you?
Yeah. Here they come. All right, Hermie, coming your way.
And they're going to gamble, Ralph. Crew Chief Jerry Kennan says, despite this pit crew, fuel only, trying to get out front for John Hunter Nemechek. Vince?
Well, the 19 of Tyler Reddick, remember, he took only right side tires on that first stop. He said he just doesn't feel like he's racing all that hard right now. A little loose over the weepers and just a little bit tight. So it's going to be a 4-tire change this time. Air pressure and track bar as well. Eric Jones says he's too loose. Center exit. 4-tire change. A chassis adjustment for him as well. And Matt Crafton better in 3 the longer they run. That's good for him because he didn't like it there the first stint. Fuel, air pressure, wedge, tires for the 88 of Crafton.
Well, and Vince, the fuel-only call on the 8 did exactly what they wanted. It put John Hunter Nemechek into the lead. Here's another great keep-it-off-the-wall moment. Saturday, NASCAR Race Day is on Fox Sports 2, bringing you all the news and previews of the Sprint Cup race at Kentucky. Coverage begins at 5 p.m. Eastern on Fox Sports 2 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Some of the folks that waited out the rain here in Kentucky.
It's a beautiful night here at the Kentucky Speedway. They've done a nice job. We talked about drying the track and getting us some competition tonight. Also taking some of the bumps out of the straightaways. We haven't seen the trucks buffeting down the straightaways near as much as we saw a year ago. And I can promise you this, Phil, to the driver, they're all going to talk about how much they like racing here.
Absolutely.
How much they like driving this track, and I love it.
And we talk about the bumps and the challenges, and that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. Now, the wet track, that's not a good thing.
No.
No.
Dry track good, wet track bad.
John Hunter Nemechek, the young man up on the front row. He's got that preferred starting line, I believe. You want to be on the outside. We've seen the guys be able to drive around from up there, so we'll see what he can do with Ryan Blaney. Blaney got 2 tires.
As a fan, I'm like you, Phil. I like to see character on the racetrack, and these world-class drivers, how they figure out how to deal with it.
Yeah, and they like it too, though. That's the neat part about it. I want to see what John Hunter can do with this clean air here if he can get out in front of Ryan Blaney.
Well, he was coming back in traffic, so that's a great sign for that young man.
Here we go. Green flag waves.
He's got Ryan Blaney, one of the very best on restarts on the bottom side, that 29 truck.
Potter gets a little bit loose off the corner, and they're going to go 3-4 wide back there dealing with him. But Nemechek was not able to use that outside to drive to the front.
No, but still with that nothing but gas pit stop, they gained him 2 spots on the racetrack. He's now moved up there in contention here tonight.
Look at John Westhouse. Look at the run he gets on the outside of Johnny Sauter.
3 wide. Townley around the outside. Passes Sauter and Peters. That was a stout move.
Well, he had some momentum up off that corner, didn't he? Wow.
He's able to maintain that momentum off. Gets a little bit of a challenge from Sauter, but holds him off, and now drives up toward Daniel Suarez, trying to gain more positions.
Crafton to the inside of Reddick. That's a battle over 4. Ooh, and look at Reddick still sliding the back of the 19.
Yeah, we're used to seeing that guy, that young man, control that sideways truck.
Suarez fighting with Jones here. Suarez had led early on. Had lost a lot of track space, and now he seems to be marching his way back through. That puts him up into 6th.
Is he going to Eldora? Because that was a pretty good slide job right there.
You know, when he gained the lead early in the race away from Reddick, he did the same thing then. Really utilized the slide job, going in front of the truck and then taking his groove away. Keep an eye on that young man. He pulls that on the wrong guy, there'll be a crash.
Townley closing in on Jones in the 4 and Suarez. Look at this. Here comes Bell in the 54.
Cameron Haley, the 13 on the inside. Gallagher, the 23 on the outside.
Something took place off 4 there. They were all bundled up.
That's in 15th position. Here's Crafton going for 2nd. He'll take it away from Nemechek.
How about Brandon Jones? We haven't talked a lot about Brandon Jones. That's him, the 33 truck right now. Looks like he may lose a spot here to Reddick, but a good run early for our runner-up last time out at Iowa, Brandon Jones.
That was a series best 2nd for him.
Looks like he got a little, lost his momentum off turn 4.
Look, Reddick again sideways.
He is spending a ton of time with the rear end of that car trying to come around and take over the lead of that machine. Oh, problems for Coughlin in the 25.
Couple more come to your inside here.
Just lost all his momentum. Probably got a little bit sideways. That's the 94 of Timmy Hill going by.
He might have got a whole lot sideways, Phil.
Looks like it. Yeah, he lost a lot of momentum, certainly.
He was running in 18th, the grandson of Jeg Coughlin, the founder of the famed Jegs Corporation.
See if we can see what happened off turn 4 here to cause these trucks to get all jumbled up. Looks like maybe Chris Bell up into Spencer Gallagher and got loose. And I don't think Gallagher took too well to that. He chased Bell down the hill.
It was Travis Quappa, the one truck that was out in front of them.
And look at that.
Talk about completely sideways, just like Spencer Gallagher earlier. Great save by Cody Coughlin.
That's got to be the 4th or 5th tremendous save we've seen tonight.
Yeah, you hear the tires squealing? That's how sideways that truck was.
And in the history of racing a car or a truck, when you hear the tires squealing, you generally hear the truck hitting the wall after that. So not to hit the wall, what a great save by Coughlin.
And by all of our younger drivers here tonight who are all gaining experience. Great job.
Here's Tyler Young, a 0-2. That driver's had some solid runs this year and last year. Trying to get by the 25 of Coughlin.
That's for 22nd.
We're riding along with Coughlin here. That tells you how tough this truck series is, Phil. These guys are racing outside of the top 20, but yet they've got trucks that can race up to the top 10.
Yeah, Tyler Young had a 10th place run earlier this year at Dover. Great side-by-side battle for position. The 51 of Suarez on the inside. Teammate Eric Jones on the outside in the 4.
Well, when we broke away from this battle, they were side-by-side. We come back to it, they still are. Kyle Busch is probably in the infield thinking, okay, guys, let's sort this out. We got to figure this out.
And they haven't lost any ground to the 33 truck of Brandon Jones right in front of them.
In fact, they've closed in on him, haven't they?
That tells you how strong that 51 truck is. He's able to challenge to the bottom, Vince, but he can't do anything with Eric Jones, and Jones is trying to get around the other Jones.
That's right, Michael. In fact, the 4 of Eric Jones doesn't quite like the car the way it is, or the truck the way it is. It was a little bit too free prior to the stop. They made a pretty significant adjustment to it, but now it's swung to the tight side. So he doesn't maybe have the speed or the handling that he would like. They'll certainly want to address that in the next stop. As you see, he's lost the battle with his teammate as Daniel Suarez has gone past the 4 truck of Eric Jones.
Yeah, and he's slipping back into the clutches of Townley in the 0-5 now.
John Hunter Nemechek, that 8 truck, continues to hold down the 3rd spot. Brandon Jones at 33 in 4th.
Back to the battle for the lead.
Yeah.
Blaney in the 29 and Crafted right there in the Menards 88. But for how long as he peeks to the inside?
Yeah, Crafton was a 10th and a half faster that last lap than was Blaney. Looks like he might have that spot. Does he have him cleared? He does.
Hermie is at 29, starting to lose some speed, or Crafton just that much quicker?
A little bit of both, Ralph, but we need to update everyone. The 29 of Ryan Blaney has been fighting a very loose truck. Last time down pit road, they only put 2 right side tires on that 29. Also made an air pressure and another track bar adjustment and pulled a rubber out of the right rear trying to get more lateral grip. But it was a 2-tire stop last time on pit road for the 29, Vince.
Well, that 88 of Matt Crafton, as you guys suggested, is getting quicker. They didn't like the truck in the early stages of the race, but they have worked on it on both pit stops, and it has definitely come to Matt Crafton. They told him before he made that pass for the lead, you're much faster, just be patient, you're going to get there, and he did indeed. Give Junior Joyner credit. He's done the adjustments that have worked just fine, as you see the 51 of Suarez go by Brandon Jones.
And Suarez, another one of those trucks, Vince, that's starting to find more and more speed. Guys, he had slipped on. Oh, man, did he get loose there?
Well,
He's up into 4th.
He didn't quite have the 33 cleared, pulled up in front of him, and I think there was some contact from the back, on the back of the 51 of Suarez from the front of the 33 of Brandon Jones.
Jones definitely ran into Suarez, and Daniel was like, just give me a break, I need an inch or 2, and Brandon Jones said you can't have it. That's a chance you take when you pull up in front of somebody. They have the option to hit you. And that's what Jones elected to do.
Not only are you going to not get that inch or two, but Eric Jones might take the spot away from you as well. Shove you back 2 slots.
How would you like that? Coming off turn 4 on the edge of control, somebody hits you sideways, leave black marks on the straightaway, and still hang on to it and keep battling.
Hey, both these drivers get some great experience. So the 4 of Eric Jones and 51 of Suarez. This is what happened off of turn. He had him cleared at one time, but by the time he pulled up there, actually he left a lane out there.
Look at those black marks.
Black Jones from where that truck was sideways. This is from Eric Jones's Toyota on board.
Just a little bit more momentum for Brandon Jones on that outside lane, and he decided to take advantage of that momentum.
It'd get your attention, wouldn't it? So is Crafton checking out, or does somebody like Blaney, Nemechek, or maybe Suarez have something for him? Closing in on halfway here at Kentucky Speedway, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. Maybe some gamesmanship on the start. A lot of great saves here tonight by some of the young stars of the series. And Chauncey, the Coastal Carolina University mascot, had a great look down the back straightaway in the 86.
Some repairs to Daniel Hemrick's truck.
And a really fast 88 truck again on a 1.5-mile racetrack of Matt Crafton.
Oh, I didn't see that coming, did you?
Guys, he has a 3-second lead right now over Blaney.
He's working traffic, though, Ralph, and I've watched the last few laps. Everybody's closing in a bit. They put that lead under 3 seconds. So a lot of times when your truck's good out front, it's hard to handle the traffic, and that's what we're seeing with Crafton here.
There's our battle for second. Ryan Blaney, the 29 truck, has it. Remember, fuel only for the 8 of John Hunter Nemechek, and he's hung in here with Ryan Blaney. Going to be side by side with him on exit.
Finished a career best 4th back at Gateway. There he goes. Nemechek in the second.
You heard Ryan Blaney back off on the straightaway. He said, okay, I'm going to let you have this spot. We'll race a little bit later on.
We just saw such an impressive run out of Nemechek last year at Gateway, leading that race late, and now on the big track.
First time ever on a 1.5 miles. He finally turned 18.
First time on a track of this size running these speeds, and he's on old tires, and he just took second position away. I think you can also put a check mark by the amount of talent that John Hunter has, and he's going to be a force to be reckoned with in the truck series.
Okay, most of us watching tonight have never done that. You two have. How big is that truly in your world to see what John's doing?
Okay, I've learned now over the last few years not to be too surprised by what these teenagers can do. We saw Eric Jones come in, win right away in the series. John Hunter compete for wins right away in the series. Doesn't surprise me that here he is on his first 1.5 miles competing up front.
Yeah, you just can't underestimate them. They get here, they're in great equipment, and they're ready to go.
He's got a pretty good coach in his dad.
Yeah. What a great mentor in his father, Joe.
Right now, he's trying to reel in Crafton, who's won 3 of the 4 1.5-mile races so far this season. Crafton 2.5 seconds in front as we watch Blaney here running in third with Eric Jones creeping in the 4th and bringing Suarez with him.
We know Blaney's improved that truck, Phil. He's been able to keep pace up inside the top 5 and only lost the spot recently to Nemechek. So he's made it better, but he still needs another adjustment. You talked about there's extra tires on pit road. He needs an adjustment.
Yeah, they've run almost 30 laps since their last pit stop. So the truck definitely lasted longer, better. So we'll see what happens. There's a good shot of Ben Kennedy. First time we've seen Ben racing with a 98 of Johnny Sauter. That's a battle for the 10th spot.
Trying to hang on to a spot inside the top 10.
Ben Kennedy ran 10th here for his first time ever at this racetrack last year.
He finished 13th at Iowa. Sauter thinking about the inside. Hermie, is Ben Kennedy's truck good enough to hold Johnny back there, do you think?
Well, he's sliding around a little bit, needs more grip in that 11, but this team, the crew chief is Scott Zippadelli, and he's one of the few crew chiefs that I spoke to earlier today before the race that was a little bit concerned about the lack of practice time. They had really prepared a lot of experimental gadgets gadgets to try out this number 11 truck today in the practice session that was scheduled for early today. So he was a little bit concerned of not getting any track time. But right now, as you guys said, currently inside of the top 10 and holding off Johnny Sauter, but they need to get back to pit road. Maybe one adjustment away from being a top 5 truck.
That would be big for them, too, because Ben has finished outside the top 10 in the last 4 races. Now we go back to this battle here with Blaney, Jones, and Suarez.
Yeah, these guys have found themselves about a little bit over 5 seconds behind our leader Crafton. He still has about a 3-second lead on John Hunter Nemechek, but right now Blaney's falling back just a little bit.
Suarez has been consistently able to march his way to the front, passing trucks when he gets to them. But, man, Phil, once you get inside the top 5, it's tough rowing up there.
And also past the halfway point, Michael.
That's a good thing. But I think we're good. We're good to go to the end here.
Yeah,
Still have a lot of good racing to go.
Weather's perfect. Track's getting better and better. I like all the rubber I see down in the groove, Phil. In the corners, you can see how dark the track's getting. That means those Goodyear tires are laying down rubber, and guys have a lot of options when they get to the turns.
How's the Iowa winner doing, Vince, in that Ford truck?
Well, Eric Jones started out too loose. They made an adjustment, and it went to the tight side. And then he radioed in to crew chief Rudy Fugel just a moment ago and says, now we have swung back loose all of a sudden. So Eric Jones fighting the balance of that truck a bit as he chases down the 29 of Ryan Blaney, meanwhile trying to hold off his teammate, the 51 of Daniel Suarez.
And also fighting to keep that momentum going from that Iowa win, as he wants to be a title contender this year. He's currently 3rd in the points, 33 markers down to Crafton as they run on the track right now. Getting around Blaney, give him another couple of points if he can get it done.
Yeah, a nice pass. Again, I think Ryan Blaney realized that he had the momentum. Why battle him down in the corner? Take any chances? We know we have a long way to go here. 71 laps left in this race.
Well, we could be looking at green flag pit stops when we come back. How will the 48 crew help out John Hunter Nemechek under green flag conditions? We'll find out when we come back. Matt Crafton continues to lead in his bright yellow 88 here at Kentucky Speedway. Round number 9 of the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series of 23 this season. But he is losing ground to John Hunter Nemechek, who's taken about almost a second and a half off of his pace. Here's Blaney in the highest running Ford truck right now. He sits in 5th. Here's our Ford fact. This is race 19 here at Kentucky. In the previous 18, we've had 13 different winners.
Saw Greg Biffle win in a Ford back in 2000. Right now we've got a couple Fords still in contention. Blaney and Tyler Reddick both up in the top 10.
Blaney's had his hands full tonight with that truck of his. Asked for an adjustment earlier, made it better, but still not quite where he needs to be. He's falling back to the 5th spot.
You see him actually taking his right hand off the steering wheel. I wonder maybe down the straightaway if his right hand's falling asleep or something, Michael, and he's trying to get some circulation back in it.
Well, look at all the input he's putting into that thing. He's driving the heck out of it, so it very well could be. You know, these straightaways at Kentucky are fairly short. The corners are real sweeping. It makes it a nice big 1.5 miles, but you don't get a lot of rest here because you're not on the straightaways for very long.
Getting around Jennifer Jo Cobb in the 10. She runs in 27.
We talked about John Hunter Nemechek being 3 seconds behind. You see a little bit of a wiggle by Blaney. There's our leader, Matt Crafton. John Hunter's closed up now to about 1 3/4 seconds behind. That's him in the black truck right there.
He can see him.
He's gaining on him.
Got to be wondering when those green flag pit stops will be creeping in here, too.
We talked about the pit window being somewhere between 50 and 60 laps. So we last pitted on lap number 45. So we've gone right now 43 laps. So I'd say we're probably 10 laps away or something like that. But we're going to see some green flag pit stops pretty quick.
You know, you talked about the 48 team pitting John Hunter so they can get off the pit road in a hurry. I'm going to be a little bit concerned about getting onto pit road. This is his first time on a 1.5 mile track. You can make all kinds of ground getting to the timing line coming into the pits. Conversely, you can lose a lot too, especially when you're a rookie. He would have practiced that today if he'd had that chance. He didn't get that opportunity.
Anything tricky about pit entry here in Kentucky?
Just how far it's around the turn. You can really fly down in the corner. You hear these guys barely letting off the gas in the turns, so you can drive way around the turn before you have to start braking to get to the green light and the commitment line. So he just needs to be conservative, obviously not to step over that line, but sometimes you don't get there as fast as you need to.
If we see a round of green flag pit stops, there will be mistakes on pit road, either speeding, getting in, speeding going off, and trouble on pit road for some of these guys.
Brandon Jones is going to need a good stop too, Vince. He's having a solid night. He's running in 6th.
He is indeed, and it's back-to-back solid performances for Brandon Jones, coming off their best finish of the season, 2nd at Iowa, and they're having, as you noted, another strong effort with the truck tonight, but it's a little bit too snug. He feels like it needs a little more grip for the next run. They're going to address that. Credit Shane Huffman. He's done a nice job with that truck, getting it a little bit better each time. They've got another adjustment they need to make on it, though. Running 6th.
Only his 4th start on a 1.5 miles, so he's a quick learner.
Yeah, he's moving around the racetrack. He's actually moved up the racetrack a little bit. He's running about as high as anybody, trying to find a little bit of grip, make that truck turn a little bit.
Talked about Ben Kennedy in the 11, how he's been outside the top 10 last 4 races. He's working himself solidly inside the top 10 now. He's running 9th, chasing down Reddick in the 19. That could put him in 8th.
Yeah, Reddick, a couple-time winner this season. Ben's got a good-looking truck. He's doing a nice job with it, closing in on 8th. And they're not too far behind John West Townley and Brandon Jones that are just up ahead as well. So this is a really solid truck for Ben Kennedy tonight.
Yeah, that's John West Townley just in front of him. That orangish yellow 05, the Zaxby's truck.
Man, we've seen Tyler Reddick slide sideways many a time in his truck career and hang on to that truck. He's working overtime here tonight. That thing is loose, and he is not backing off. He's sideways and going to town.
Yeah, right now with Matt Crafton out front, Matt's our point leader. Tyler Reddick comes in here 2nd points. We could have a big swing in the points here if these positions maintain.
There you see Reddick sliding, bouncing down the front straightaway a bit. Like I said, Kentucky could see the grinding they've done on the straightaways to make them a little bit smoother. Glad they didn't mess with the corners, though. It's fun to watch these trucks slide and bounce through there.
Guys, we're getting close to some green flag pit stop. Timothy Peters actually has already been to pit road. He was the first one of our lead lap trucks to come to pit road.
Vince, I got to believe Tyler Reddick in that 19 is anxious for this round of pit stops.
Yeah, just as you guys could see from up in the booth, truck is loose. So Doug Randolph's going to adjust on it at that next pit stop and snug him up for the stretch run here, trying to get his 3rd win of the season. You know, they're 12 points out of the championship lead, but they believe they could be the championship leader. They've had some gearbox issues, mainly due to missed shifts in 5 of the 9 races. And the problem is that Tyler Reddick, he's left-handed, has to shift with the right hand, and it just doesn't come naturally to him. Said they spent a lot of time the last couple of weeks just working on muscle memory of shifting with his right hand. He said earlier he missed a shift tonight, but so far it hasn't cost him like it has in some of the other races. Some will follow throughout the course of the night.
You know, Vince, that's something I was talking to his guys, and they told me the same thing, that he's actually left-handed. And I never thought about that before, but trying to visualize shifting left-handed after shifting right-handed all these years, that would be a bit of a challenge for a right-hander to shift left-handed.
Yeah, and you know, you've got to make sure the reach is okay, too. Tyler needs to be comfortable with reaching over there to that shifter. But I suspected, Phil, with watching his first couple of restarts, with the 2 weeks they had off, they had been in the shop really working hard on that. This team is racing for a championship. They can't continue to make those mistakes.
One guy who's very comfortable tonight, Matt Crafton. The 88 is strong. In fact, he's added to his lead, and it had dropped to inside of 2 seconds between him and Nemechek. He's now opened it back up to almost a full 2.5. Green flag pit stops are beginning.
Crafton's giving that thing a lot of throttle still, even on those older tires. We know Nemechek didn't even put tires on his, so Goodyear's brought it really competitive. Let's listen to the gas he gives it. You could hear him back in the gas before the center of the turn.
Vince, here's Chris Bell.
Chris Bell coming in said the truck has been really good. He's been happy with it. He's had to search around to find the line that works best for him. And there's one of the issues of a driver who doesn't have much experience just getting into the pit box. Remember, this is only his second Craftsman Truck Series race. So you're going to make a 4-tire change. A little bit of a struggle with that stop there. Hermie?
Johnny Sauter took 4 tires and fuel. His truck is better on the long run, but he gives up too much real estate on the beginning of a tire run. He needs rear grip. They made those adjustments. Johnny Sauter down and away.
You saw Chris Bell got in at an angle. They got him serviced and away. Here's the 4 at Jones. At 51 is Suarez.
Yeah, KBM teammates came in together here on lap 99. Looks like Eric Jones is going to win this battle off pit road. There's Brandon Jones, the 33, exiting as well.
Ben Kennedy penalized for driving through too many boxes.
I'll be surprised. Here's Hermie. Here's Blaney to pit road, Hermie.
He took 2 tires last time, Michael, on his stop. Been fighting a truck that's way too loose all night long. Is trying to lower the track bar on the right side. It must be maxed out. Come around to the left side. 4 tires and track bar adjustment for the 29. Vince.
The 19 of Tyler Reddick, as we talked about just a moment ago, just a little bit too loose. They're going to make a 4-tire change. Air pressure and down and away is the 19 of Tyler Reddick. Here comes Matt Crafton. Had to avoid the 0-5 of John West Townley there to get into his pit box. Crafton has led a lap in every race this season. He's your points leader. The truck has been outstanding throughout the course of the night, but he said it started to get tight late in that run, especially in turns 3 and 4.
Well, we saw Tire Phil get away from the 29 crew.
You talked about mistakes on pit road. There's been plenty of them. There's John Hunter leaving his pit box. He stalled his engine on exit, so that hurt him. He was 3 seconds behind Crafton when the pit stop happened. It'll be interesting to see how much ground he left. That tire of 29, Ryan Blaney, it rolled across pit road. Chances are NASCAR will throw a caution after the pit sequence has finished, so they can get that tire back to pit road.
And I think that will result in a penalty for Ryan Blaney as well. Let's take a look at it. Right here, here's Ryan Blaney on pit road. Watch. You see that tire right there bounce against pit wall. That's all it took. There was supposed to be somebody there to catch that tire. They didn't do it. You can see the guys really chagrined over that. And there's that tire. Well, it just bounced in. Got in between the gas man and the truck. I'm not even sure that they got the truck full.
And the caution comes out.
They got to go get that tire.
It's for that tire. It's still sitting out there. There it is.
Yeah, I'm not even sure they actually got that truck full of fuel. Looked like the gas man was going back to the truck, and that's when the tire got in between him and the truck.
And knocked the gas can loose in his hand, and he punted it basically out into pit road. You could see there Christopher Bell was way deep in his box. I thought he was over the line, but must have been just short of it. Ran over a couple of tires to leave. So this caution flag is a big break for all those teams that made mistakes coming to pit road.
And there were plenty of them.
Yes,
and
sir.
Blaney was 5th coming into his pit stop. Jones listed as the leader. I'll be right back.
The second annual Mud Summer Classic from Eldora Speedway. The green flag is in the air. You guessed it. 4 wide as they go down the backstretch. Here comes Hornaday on the inside. He leads that lap.
What a power move by Bubba Wallace.
Dylan gets into Kyle Larson. Spins him around.
Still in top 5.
Kyle Larson is on the back bumper of that 54. Tries the slide job. Into the wall.
Yells out.
Right back in the air.
Kyle Larson's still in hot pursuit. This is amazing. Oh!
Larson into the wall hard again.
He's done too much damage this time. Bubba wins at Eldora.
Holy cow! Eldora!
Wednesday, July 22nd, Camping World Truck Racing heads to Eldora for the Mud Summer Classic. Coverage begins at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on Fox Sports 1, streaming live on Fox Sports Go, and I cannot wait to get to one of my favorite dirt tracks and see these trucks in action. It is going to be so much fun.
Hey, we got you covered. If they're on the racetrack, we're on it.
Going to be great. Hermie, how about Blaney? That was just a terrible pit stop for the 29.
Yeah, around several issues, but they're trying to make the best of a bad situation. They came down pit road. They have to start the tail end of the longest line anyway, so they came back down pit road, finished fueling this truck, took the left rear tire off, and put a spring rubber in the left rear to increase the spring rate to try to snug this truck up. He's been fighting a loose truck from the drop of the green flag. So we know he's good on fuel now, and hopefully a truck that has a little more lateral grip is what he's looking for.
All right, here's a video from the NASCAR trailer of what they see and saw.
He saw the guy at the very back of the truck. He was the one that was going to catch that tire. It looked like he was out of position. That tire bounced between the wall and got between the gas man and the truck. I don't think he ever got the truck full, in addition to the fact that the tire rolled across pit road. See Ryan Blaney here. We've got 45 laps to go right now, and he's shutting it off trying to save fuel, because you never know when you could get multiple green-white checkers. They should be good to go for the end. Just about everybody that pitted back, they started pitting around lap 97. They really should be good to go to the end, but doesn't hurt to save a little fuel in case you get that green-white checker.
Well, if Blaney's got a little extra fuel because he came back to pit road and he's shutting it down, what about these leaders? I mean, they came to pit road before lap 100, and they've got to go 50 laps, so it could get tight at the end, like you said, Phil, with those green-white checkers if that comes to be.
You saw the 0-2 of Young getting pushed down pit road. That was from all the way from around the back straightaway.
Saving fuel there. You can hear him lugging that truck, Ralph. He's just turning as few RPMs as he can to burn as little fuel as possible. He's even saving more now.
With the engine shut off.
That'll do the trick. You know what I love about these trucks? Look how high these things are off the ground. Look at the nose of the 8 truck of John Hunter Nemechek. We talk about the truck's attitude and them being right down on the ground. This place, to me, is the most interesting phenomena of engineering. They've got those trucks. They have to meet inspection height, 3 or 4 inches off the ground. They run right on the ground, and there's bumps everywhere. How does it know?
I don't know.
How do they do that? Look how high that thing is off the ground. And watch when he goes back to green. It'll be just sucked right down to the road.
The 54 of Bell came back in and topped off on fuel as well.
Yeah, this could get interesting. This is right outside the window. With these caution flag laps, we believe they can make it, but it's going to be close.
That's not what I want to do, but if they come again, I think the only way to win this is to take 2. So be mindful on the chassis, what I got to do, you know? Yeah, I don't know what it's going to do with it.
Yeah, they're talking about taking 2 tires if they get a late caution 20 or 30 laps from now. There's Junior Joyner.
Junior's upset.
He's upset. He's got his truck up on the front row for this restart right now. That was probably when they made their pit stop, because we saw him have to actually wait for John West Townley, who had just pulled out of his pit to go by. It's probably what Junior was mad at right then, because it actually cost him the lead. He had a 4.2 second lead over Eric Jones when they started making green flag pit stops, and Eric Jones came out in front of him.
Crafton had only led 36 laps here in 16 prior starts. Putting in quite a few. He's already led 42 here tonight.
He's putting in quite a year.
Yeah.
3 wins, point lead. This truck has just been right on all year long. What are they saying in the Ford pit, Vince?
Yeah, fuel going to be certainly a hot topic of conversation here to the finish. Just talking to Rudy Fugle, he says his driver Eric Jones can get to the end. A green-white checkered's dicey, but he can get there in regulation.
All right, lights are off on the pace truck. Here we go. 44 laps or so to go.
John Hunter Nemechek was able to keep pace with Crafton on no tires. He's got some tires now. There's a lot of good stories at the front of this field.
The last 2 years, this race was won with pit stops just about when we just had them. They had late caution flags, and the winner, eventual winner, stayed on the racetrack.
Green flag, and we're racing once again here in Kentucky.
Boy, a dead even start that time.
Crafton tries a bit of a slide job, decides better of it, stays down low, and looks like Eric Jones is going to hang tough on the high side.
Nemechek trying to take 3rd in the 8, but Suarez right there in the 51.
Power move on the outside by Eric Jones, trying to hang on to the lead. He's able to clear Crafton.
And you never know when that's going to be the final pass. That pass right there on Crafton, that could loom really large the later we go in this race.
Might have been the most important restart of the night, and Suarez still trying to inch past Nemechek.
Tried to do the slide job, move up in front of him before he was really clear. John Hunter said, I'm not having any of that. He came back hard on the high side.
How about Crafton now down on the bottom?
Look how wide this racetrack is. These guys giving each other a lot of room. Until we get to the straightaway, then they're right dead together. A little side drafting.
They just try to slow the momentum, Phil. Just get that 8 truck right on the side of Suarez, try to take his momentum away.
Suarez right down on that yellow line, then he comes right up alongside John Hunter as they come off the corner.
Wisely gives him a little bit of room. John Hunter was there, didn't have him cleared.
This is a great battle by a couple of young kids.
And Townley right behind him in the 0-5, looking to cash in if something happens in front of him as Nemechek lays claim to third.
Now see if he can scoot away from Suarez and go up there and join that battle for the lead.
Well, look at that truck dancing, huh?
Yeah, a little bit loose on entry, but I don't think he ever let off. He's gapped Suarez a bit, even after being sideways.
I think our leaders are running the fastest laps they've run this entire race. That last lap was a 31:11 for Eric Jones.
Reddick would like to get a few points back in the 19 as we go back. Watch Jones in the 33.
All up sideways right against the wall. And here comes Reddick. Ooh, look at him get sideways. Got over the bumps. You see the back of that truck start bouncing, and it bounced it sideways. And certainly he didn't back off.
No. These kids don't know how to back off, I don't think. Especially they know this is for the win. We got to get every spot we can. You talked about Ralph Jones grabbing
his hands. Did you see Reddick's hands that time on the bottom, Michael?
Reddick in that blue 19. Get a good look at the hands through that front windshield. Former sprint car and dirt late model racer. Northern California native in the 19. Wheeling his way past the 33.
Look at his hands. Look at him sideways.
Oh, watch out for the wall as it creeps in. And Sauter gets into the mix, too, as Sauter gets by in the 98. Here comes Bell. Bell in the 50 floor. Moving himself into the top 10.
How about the 13 of Cameron Haley? We haven't seen him this entire race. He and Timothy Peters now make it 3 wide.
Coming off the front straightaway.
You race from start to finish in one of these truck races, Ralph. These guys run hard.
No cruising and cashing here, right?
And look at this. We're talking from 6th place all the way back to 15th, lined up, battling. Here's a slide job that didn't go well. Reddick tries to cut up in front of Jones, and look.
Watch his hands. Unbelievable.
These guys are just cutting each other off, and they're saying, you're not doing that to me. I love the action.
The kind of action we've had on a 1.5-mile paved track tonight. I can't wait till we start doing this on the half-mile dirt at Eldora. That is going to be great. It's going to be a great finish here, too. Next Friday, ARCA Racing returns to Fox Sports 1 as they head to the fastest short track on the planet, Iowa Speedway. Coverage begins at 9 p.m. Eastern on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. You're going to that one, aren't you?
Absolutely, yeah. Looking forward to it. Put on a great show at Iowa. Remember, these trucks were just at Iowa last time out. That driver right there, that 4 truck, won that thing.
He's got his hands full tonight. He's got Matt Crafton right on his tail in the 88.
Yeah, and that 88 truck is better than the 4 right now. He's fighting through that aerodynamic disadvantage he has by following the 4 truck, but he's gaining ground and hanging right with him. Look for Crafton to make the move.
Eric Jones was able to wrestle that lead away from Crafton on the restart. He's held it ever since. Looks like Matt wiggled down there in the center of the corner. Lost a little bit of ground. Lost about 3 truck lengths.
30 to go.
Nice thing about this racetrack being as wide as it is, and you can race from that yellow line all the way up about 3 to 4 lanes is when Matt gets to him. He's not going to have to follow in his tracks. He's going to have some options.
And Phil, I think that's what happened to him down in 3 and 4 last time through. He was right on the Ford truck of Eric Jones, so he said, I'm going to try a little bit different line, and the thing just didn't stick. Watch, he's a little bit high there, and he just loses his momentum. See it bobble?
You heard him have to get back out of that throttle, had to pedal just a little bit and lost that ground, and watch the Ford drive away while he was doing that.
That whole corner just didn't go well for Crafton. He went in and got a little bit loose, and that's probably a result of being so tight on the back of the Ford, and that's why it's such a great racetrack here in Kentucky, Phil, because you can get in a different groove and try to get some fresh air on that nose.
Here's 3 trucks battling here.
Remember Ryan Blaney trying to fight his way back after that penalty. Had to come down pit road on this most recent caution. Talk to him. Is he going to go between? No. For a second, he thought about going between Peters and Haley.
That's 9th, 10th, and 11th positions right there.
Just cracked his way back inside the top 10 after that unfortunate pit road problem.
Right now, Ryan Blaney needs a caution flag to get back in contention. He's going to have a solid finish. Right now, he's 11 seconds behind our leader, Eric Jones.
That just put him in 9th. And Crafton has caught Jones again.
Oh, Jones had to go a little bit high for Jordan Anderson on the bottom of the racetrack. And is Crafton going to be able to take advantage? Wow. Jones cut him off.
I think he realized that Matt Crafton had a little bit of momentum on the inside. Why not take away his line?
And I think that's a result of what we were talking about earlier. Crafton's better right now. Jones knows he's got to defend. He's got to hold his turf if he's going to win this race. Because if Crafton gets by, he could be long gone.
Crafton can be a little bit patient. He's got 25 laps to work with. He knows he's got a better racetrack. He's a 2-time champion. And he's got the points lead.
And Eric Jones is going to have to be probably pretty close to perfect to hold him off.
I was going to say exactly perfect. You're right, Phil. But every lap that goes by that Crafton doesn't get,
Caleb Holman, that 75 truck, he was in position with the Food Country truck to get the free pass. He was in line there.
Caleb was running in 17th. And you can see what happens when you don't save it and it gets away from you. That truck tore up pretty bad.
Yeah, a lot of damage to that. Daniel Hemrick might have been involved with that as well.
Well, we'll see. Will anybody pit? Take 2? We'll find out when we come back. Everybody but Blaney and Reddick pitted. And they all took 2. See how this shakes things up.
Eric Jones won that battle off pit road. That could be huge.
All of our leaders to pit road. Wow, late caution strategy. This race has it all.
Blaney was 9th. Reddick was 13th. They're now 1 and 2.
Well, we saw John Hunter Nemechek stay out. He lost a couple of spots early against tires, but then he rallied. He was able to be one of the fastest trucks on the track. So these guys that stayed out versus just 2 tires could have a chance to hold them off.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised they came in because, again, this race the last 2 years it was won by guys that stayed out. But there's so many trucks came down pit road now. All we have are these 2 BKR trucks right now that stayed out.
And they haven't been as good as we thought they would be going into this race. We felt like maybe they would be challenging for the win. They've consistently run near the front, but have fallen back.
Right there, you see the 2 trucks. They were actually racing for the free pass. Caleb Holman, the 75, was in position. Daniel Hemrick, the 14, was going to try to get by him to get in position for that free pass. They made contact, and that's the resulting damage to the 75 Food Country truck of Caleb Holman.
Heavy contact to the outside wall. Holman's done. Hemrick's not having a very good evening. He's still in the top 20, though, and will continue to race.
Ben Kennedy penalized for the 2nd time on pit road tonight, going through too many boxes. He's going to go to the tail.
You can see there they're beating out the damage to the right front. Obviously, Hemrick's right front hit the 75 of Holman's left rear, and around they went.
Yeah, Yeah, that's, as you mentioned, Ralph, that's the second time for Ben Kennedy. These guys are allowed to drive through 3 pit boxes coming in, then their pit box, then 3 going out. Any more than that results in a penalty. That's the second time for Ben.
Hermie, how about John Hunter Nemechek? He's back in 10th now.
It was a late change of plans by crew chief Jerry Kennan to put 4 tires on the 8 of John Hunter Nemechek. They had called for 2 tires, but as John Hunter was coming to the pit box, they elected for 4 tires. So he'll restart 10th with 4 tires. We'll see if he can make up any of that ground once we go back to green.
You know, having...
Well, we'll take care of a little bit more business of our own before they're ready to go green. We'll have it for you when we come back. What started off as an ugly morning weather-wise has turned into a beautiful sunset here this evening at Kentucky Speedway. And Ryan Blaney is hoping turns into a victorious night.
Would have a fighting chance, is all. So, felt like we had to do it. I didn't think we could win the race if we pitted. Come on, buddy. Just make it work for us. You've done a hell of a job keeping up with it. Just make it work right here. Give it all you got. We'll be good.
Well, you know, I've talked about what a talent I think this young man is. That's a great decision.
Yeah, that was his call. Obviously his call.
He was ninth. There's no way he's winning. Now, with his teammate on the inside, he gets a good start, gets out in that clean air. Maybe that truck's a little bit different in the front, and he can hold him off.
Yeah, crew chief Chad Kendrick was on board with it. Said, you did a great job. Let's just make it work for us here.
We've seen he can drive the wheels off this truck. All you got to do is give him an opportunity. And that opportunity is about to come with this green flag here in Kentucky. Could be the final one of the night.
Wow, he held him. How about the push from Eric Jones? Eric's going to make it 3 wide at the bottom.
Jones creeps up on the inside of the 4. He takes the lead at the middle of turns 1 and 2.
That might have been a race-winning move right there. Look at him separate himself from Crafton.
Here comes Blaney to the bottom.
Crafton drops to the bottom in the yellow 88. He's in 4th. Hunter 3rd, and there goes Bell into the wall. Christopher Bell in his 2nd start in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series has seen that truck get sideways more than once tonight. Had done a tremendous job.
Don't speed. Hit road speed now.
He was trying to use those 2 tires. He knew he had to go. So many positions are gained right after restarts. He was trying to get some there. Looked like he maybe overdid it into turn 3.
You can watch he gets loose on the bottom and tries to chase it up the hill, and then it finally just comes all the way around. He was inside the top 10, Phil, and like you said, he was thinking, I'm going to give me some positions. I've had this thing out of control. I can hang on to it. But these things are just so hard once you get them sideways. If you save them once, it's quite an intense. Look,
he's sideways before he ever got to the corner.
Yeah.
And then never really caught up to it. Just about got it there, but then ran out of racetrack. If we would have had another lane or so of where rubber had been put down, he probably would have saved that truck. But unfortunately for him, didn't have it.
You make one swipe at it and save it, maybe 2, but then that 3rd one seems to really whip you around, and that's what happened there.
Well, he's getting his feet wet here in the Truck Series, learning a lot. He'll be back in more comfortable confines, if you will, come Wednesday night. The Brad Doty Classic over in Limaland. He'll be back behind the wheel of a sprint car.
Let's take a look at this most recent restart here. Ryan Blaney had the lead. He had his teammate Tyler Reddick on his inside. Look at this field got seized up a little bit. Did Ryan just not go or spin his tires?
I think he just didn't go. We can maybe hop on board and see for sure what happened, but it looked like he was trying to hold him down, and then jump to get that good start. His teammate Reddick said, I got to go.
Ready.
This is Eric Jones, and he's pushing Tyler Reddick right there.
And that's exactly what you need.
And then jump to the inside.
Clear right now. Clear. By half.
You heard him run that corner wide open.
And he could not have executed that any better.
There were some markers on the outside wall. Maybe we can get a look at that. Blaney, I think, thinks that Reddick jumped the start.
He did not even get to the restart line and he went. That's kind of messed up, man. be honest with you. 4-1, see what they say about it right here. I don't know. This is real close for sure.
Well, watch.
Go inside, half off at you. Go inside forwards, inside the 19. One inside, very bottom. One inside, bottom. One inside. One inside. Inside corner.
Let's go inside of Eric Jones's truck. And look, Phil, over on the outside wall, right there is the first mark, right there. And it looked like that Reddick had already jumped.
Halfback 29, halfback, line now.
But like the spotter said, it was really close.
The 4 gave me really good 5 or 6 good nudges there, and it pushed me way ahead of Ryan. I wasn't trying to screw him up there. They didn't say a thing about it. You're good. You just focus on winning this race here, man. Be confident.
That was Tyler Reddick's radio.
You know what the great thing about it? They all got a chance to do it again.
Yeah, let's do it again. Ryan Blaney gets to restart again on the front row. Now, the control truck is that 4 of Eric Jones.
And plus, he has his teammate pushing him. And that's what you need. You need that push. There's the push that Reddick talked about from, there's the mark. They were rolling maybe slightly before that mark. And that's the push that Reddick talked about that Jones gave him, and that knocked him into the lead.
It's a pretty small restart zone there, Vince.
Well, that's exactly right. And right now, Eric Jones has the opportunity in the lead with the fresher tires, and the 88 of Matt Crafton right behind him as well. On that late last run, Jones said the balance was good, but he felt like the 88 was just faster. So if those two get out in front and race for the lead, look for that battle.
Wow.
And will this be the last time they get to try the restart?
No guarantee on that.
No.
I don't know, but I think the fastest truck is on the outside of row 2, and that means for some fun here at the end.
15 laps to go as we come back to the green.
Boy, dead even restart that time.
And that's
going to have the edge coming off at 2.
That's when Blaney really needed Reddick to get the best start of the night so he could get that draft off of him. He didn't get it.
Jones with a push from behind by Crafton on the high side. Will they both get by? They do, and now it's on between these two.
Remember, no tires for Blaney. 2 tires for the 4 and the 88.
And Suarez sits back in 4th. And the 51's a good truck here tonight.
He is that. One of the top 2 or 3 trucks all night long.
Kennedy in the 11. Shows in 12th. That should move him up a spot or 2 to about 11th. If he can get around Haley in the 13.
Look at this battle back here. How about the 92 of David Gilliland? We haven't talked about him. Look at Ben Kennedy. Might have made a little bit of contact with the outside wall, but David Gilliland, a former Xfinity winner here, racing up for a top 10 spot.
Townley's in 7th. Nemechek, Jones, that's 8th and 9th. Oh, hang on, John. John Hunter right up to the wall. I don't think he touched it, though.
He got into the back of John West Townley. That got him out of shape.
He fought that thing, though, didn't he, and held on to it. If he did touch it, Ralph, it was gently. He didn't do any damage to it. He can go up there and battle some more.
These guys know that time is running out. We're approaching 10 laps to go. Look right side of your screen. Look how sideways John Hunter was, right up against the wall.
Oh, and there's the caution. Gallagher pounds the wall this time with a 23. He was running 13th at the time.
Man, these trucks are running upwards of 185 miles an hour when they enter the corner, Ralph, and that's exactly where Gallagher hit.
Well, we said it might not be the last restart of the night.
Yeah, hated to see that happen to that Allegiant Chevrolet for Spencer Gallagher, coming off a pair of top 10s, including his career best at Gateway a few races ago of 2nd.
And the last 5 races, he's been in the top 12, so this team has really been on a roll.
Good to see that neck come down, signifying that he's okay. So they are stopping the trucks down on the apron here. We're going to have less than 10 to go when we go back to green.
Check out these black marks, Phil. From that
That's a
point, he starts getting loose, and then corrects it and goes into the outside wall. Must mean there was some contact maybe entering that corner, because he wouldn't have gotten that loose that early, I don't think.
Yeah, I think this is a great call, too, by NASCAR. Number one, it allows them to get to Spencer and get him out of that truck. Appears to be okay, but it also will give us an opportunity to have more green flag laps here instead of spending 4 or 5 laps riding around while the track crew cleans up the racetrack.
Credit to NASCAR for the rule book, the way it's designed, and this team for putting that truck together the way it is. That is a scary angle on that hit, and he's able to get out and walk away. If you're looking for the Concave Gold Cup matchup between Mexico and Cuba, the soccer match, that's coming up right after the race. So just stay with us here on Fox Sports 1, and we will have that for you.
We've got some fireworks coming up here in the last 10 laps.
Yeah, we're going to go to green with about 7 or 8 to go. And look, it's a 3-wide battle. Gallagher gets into John West Townley and turns himself sideways. There had to be contact from where he was spinning. And watch this thing turn left, and right, excuse me.
And I'm sure to Spencer, it felt like it picked up speed as it got to the outside wall there.
By the way, if you're looking for that CONCACAF soccer match, you can find it right now on Fox Sports 2. And we'll switch it over to Fox Sports 1 as soon as the checkers fly here.
Watch this. He just tried to take the bottom and go 3 wide, but he had a bad angle to the corner and ran into John West.
I think once he got to John West, then he might have just grabbed the steering wheel, tried to turn left to stay off of John West. When it did, it turned him sideways, and hard contact with the outside safer barrier.
That's what the end of these races are all about, Ralph, and that's why the last 10 laps are so unpredictable. These guys have a chance to get sideways 3 wide. They're going to take advantage of it.
Well, here's something interesting about the last 10 laps here at Kentucky. The driver leading with 10 to go has won 15 of the 17 races here.
Looked like John West maybe moved away from Johnny Sauter as they entered the corner, so he wouldn't go in the corner so close to Johnny Sauter, and that might have surprised Spencer just a little bit, and that's when they made the contact.
All right, Vince, what are they saying in Eric Jones' pit?
With Rudy Fugel, his crew chief for Eric Jones. You've been on the both sides of the fence, tight and loose. What do you have for the final 10 laps here? Is enough speed to hold off Crafton and the rest?
It'll be fun to watch. Everybody at TRD and Toyota, thanks to this, with no practice and everything, it's the best simulation program we have in the garage, and all the thanks to them and everybody at KBM, so we'll go see what it has.
This is the same truck that Eric Jones drove to victory at Iowa. We'll see if he can make it 2 in a row in the same piece. Let's go up pit lane to Hermie.
Well, Vince, Chad Kendrick is the crew chief for Ryan Blaney. You guys have battled this truck to get in this position. What have you guys worked on, and any kind of chance you guys have? You're a little bit of a tire disadvantage, but what are you guys talking about?
A better question would be, what haven't we worked on? We've done everything. Track bar, wedge, tire pressure, spring rubbers, both sides. Ryan's had his handful all night. Just like everybody else, I wish we'd had some practice, but we didn't. And honestly, I feel like we got the better driver in this situation. We don't have the better truck. The 4 is definitely pretty good, and the 88 is pretty good as well. But Ryan's going to give it his all right here, and you never know. With them cleaning this up, it could be a green-white checkered, and we'll see what happens. Those guys get battling, and Ryan sticks his nose in there, and anything can happen. So he's ready. We're here to win. We're not really here to run 3rd, 4th, or 8th. So he's going to go after it.
These guys have worked hard tonight, and his crew chief is confident in his driver. Back to Vince.
With the crew chief of the 88, that's Junior Joyner. Your driver's been fast all night long. Does he have enough speed to finish it off?
I think so. I mean, our strong suit's the long run for sure, but it just depends on this restart here. We got to get a good push from the 29, and maybe we can clear him off too and get on with it.
Rough.
Well, Vince, the red was out for 3 minutes, 28 seconds. The yellow back out now, and the truck's starting to roll.
No, that's not a red card.
No. But speaking of red cards, well played, by the way.
There you go.
If you're looking for soccer, that is over on Fox Sports 2 right now, as we wait to see what the problem is here and why Crafton's truck is not moving.
I think undoubtedly that truck would not refire, but NASCAR will not make him go to the back. He will be able to retain his position. Because of a red flag, they will not penalize you if your truck won't refire.
So Mexico and Cuba over on Fox Sports 2 right now. They're underway. We will switch that over here to Fox Sports 1 once we complete these last 10 laps.
I talked about 180 miles an hour into the corner. We slowed that down to show in detail what happened. But let's look at this real speed. Watch how hard this truck hits the outside wall.
It really didn't look like it slowed down that much. It had to slow down because we saw the black marks, so those tires are scrubbing off speed, but it sure didn't look like it slowed down much.
What a terrible feeling, too, when you're going straight, wide open, and all of a sudden you're backwards and turn around heading toward the wall. It's terrifying to hit a wall that hard.
And at that angle.
Yeah. Thank the Lord for the safer barriers.
So we're looking at about 8 laps or so to go once we go back to green.
Well, we didn't get 1 to go, so we're going to come back around to take 8 to go. And if we get 1 to go, then we'll have 7 laps of green flag racing, hopefully.
At least 7.
At least 7. Yeah, exactly.
Could have more because
could be a lot.
These guys, you heard Junior Joyner, we got to get the lead off turn 2 and get on with it. That's everyone's attitude right now.
Chris Bell's crew still working on the 54. We'll see how this one wraps up when we come back. Track just about ready to go. Looking at around 8 laps to go to the conclusion of this one. You know, rain was the story all day long. Had to cut into the racetrack to fix some weepers.
For a couple days, really. We had the same situation last night.
Some great saves made by a lot of the great young talent in the sport throughout the course of the night. Like this one from Suarez.
Reddick before that in that 19 blue truck.
A few cautions, too.
Brandon Brown, Coastal Carolina Chevrolet gets around.
Pit road's been a story as to an up and down night for a lot of drivers.
Tire gets away from Ryan Blaney. That results in a penalty. Lost all his track position. Matt Crafton and green flag pit stops. Couldn't get in his pit. Had to wait for John West Townley.
And then this one here, our most recent. No, that was not our most recent. It was early on in the night. One of the harder hits of the night.
Yeah, Caleb Holman, that Blue Country truck. Contact with Daniel Hendrick.
Christopher Bell has been doing a tremendous job until this moment.
Running up in the top 10. And here's a most recent caution. Spencer Gallagher, the 23 truck, makes a little contact with John West Townley hard into the safer barrier.
Happy to report, though, Spencer's been released from the infield care center.
Well, we got them doubled up. We're going to go back at it again. We've seen the restarts be a real factor on who gets the lead down into turn 1. This is going to be the most important one of the night so far. And we've got a couple of really hungry drivers on that front row.
Starts have been the story all night, going all the way back to the first one when Crafton, as you guys pointed out, you thought he played a little bit of a game. Well, here he is with Jones right there with him. Out on that front, does he play another type of strategy game here?
Jones is in charge right now, so it's up to what Eric Jones does. Matt Crafton can't play any strategy games because Eric Jones is the boss on this restart. And I love the fact that you talk about a couple hungry drivers up front. Eric Jones won our last time out. Matt Crafton's won 3 races. Eric Jones won 2 Xfinity races as well. And you're right, they are hungry. They want more.
And Daniel Suarez hasn't won in NASCAR in America yet, and he's sitting there with a chance to do it. Look at the size of this restart zone. We talk about the leader as the control truck. The other one can't go first. Well, heck, that's a really small box that they have to make that decision in, so you better be on your game.
Maybe 20 yards?
Yeah, maybe so, yeah. Looks about like maybe 3 truck lengths or something like that.
All right, pace truck is in, getting ready to go back to the green. Jones has the edge by half a truck length. And here comes Crafton.
Look at that push from Blaney. Now Blaney's going to jump to the inside.
That's what it's all about, getting drafting help on the start, a push, and that's what Crafton got.
Who's going to have it off at 2? Crafton leans him down the back straightaway. Blaney to the bottom, and Jones pushing the 88.
You know, Ralph, we talked about the fact Crafton couldn't do anything because Eric Jones was in control. He laid back. He actually got in the throttle a little bit before Eric Jones did, I think.
And Suarez runs in fourth. Could he have anything to say? 5 to go. Problems. Huge hit for Kennedy. The 11 up on the safer barrier. Down off the wall it comes to a grinding halt in the middle of the racetrack.
I'm okay. I'm hard hit.
That's great news. That's the voice of Ben Kennedy.
Right there.
You heard him say it was a hard hit, and yes, it was. Wow, what an impact. He was running in 7th. We had talked about how he'd been outside of the top 10 the last couple of weeks, pushing hard here tonight.
It looked like there was some contact when they get down to the entrance to turn number 1. I looked up and I saw a truck sideways.
That's absolutely the fastest part of this mile-and-a-half super speedway here in Kentucky as you dive off into turn 1. We saw heavy contact for Spencer Gallagher when he made contact with another truck, and now Kennedy up on the wall and into the fence.
Gathering himself before he climbs out.
It was great to hear his voice on the radio, and I'm sure all his crew members were glad to hear that as well. Waves to the crowd. I'm sure he's going to walk around this truck and cannot believe the damage to that Local Motors Toyota.
Yeah, he's gathered himself up a little bit, too. That was a wild ride.
Tough, hard impact.
Really hard impact. Here it is.
See, he's racing on the inside of David Gillen. They make a little bit of contact. You see John West Townley was on the outside. He's going to run right into the side of him. Kind of lift that truck up a little bit. Got into the catch fence. For the second week in a row, we've had a vehicle in the catch fence. But again, the catch fence did its job. It kept that truck down on the racetrack, and you see it riding along the top of the safer barrier.
When they got to turn 1, Phil, I think they were 3 wide, and Ben probably thought that's a difficult angle for the spotters to see as well. And I think that Ben probably thought, wow, look how close that truck comes to going over. Probably thought they were just 2 wide, and he had room to move up a little bit for the corner.
That's what it looked like.
That was incredible how that truck just grinding along that safer barrier.
That's a battery sliding up in the top lane of the racetrack. Let's take a look at it again.
You can see that it was Gillen,
John West Townley in the yellow truck.
And I think John Gillen was just below John West, and maybe Ben Kennedy felt like they were just 2 wide and had room to angle himself for the corner, battling for a spot well inside of the top 10.
Man, look at that shot.
Right past one of our camera positions.
Look at all that debris.
But as you pointed out, Phil, that catch fence doing exactly what it's supposed to do as the axle's just grinding along that safer barrier on the wall.
Wow.
Look at ripping the nose off.
We saw
Here goes that battery.
Yeah, there's a battery out of the truck. It's right in front of the left rear tires where that battery is encased. You see steam coming out of the lower radiator hose. The radiator's already gone off that truck.
And that wheel, Michael, just turned to the left on that left front just enough to catch it and pull it back down as opposed to rolling over. Watch this from the 25.
Cody Coughlin's going to see what happens, slow down, and look at all the debris he's got to avoid.
Pretty heads-up move by Cody. Immediately when we saw the smoke up in front, he was off the throttle.
And the tow truck crew just dragging the remains of the 11 back to the garage area. And you can see how this thing is just destroyed at both ends, but the key, the driver compartment, intact.
Yeah, the most important part of it is intact.
And Ben got out and walked over to the ambulance under his own power. So that's a great sign. NASCAR just does such a wonderful job of inspecting these trucks and requiring that the safety of the truck is paramount and exactly where it needs to be. We've got some damage to the fence. There's not very many people down in that area. Maybe NASCAR's thinking about how they're going to repair the fence to finish this race.
Yeah, that one pole, the pole in front of that one is bent, and that one took a lot of the impact right there.
Wow.
It doesn't take an accident or two like we've seen the last couple of weeks just to be so thankful of all the safety improvements and the people that have worked so hard to ensure that drivers can walk away from wrecks like this. We're running 180 miles an hour. We're going to have accidents. And the fact that Ben was able to walk away is just a testament to NASCAR and all the folks at Kentucky Speedway.
Michael, the safety is not perfect. But when you think about what we're doing, what we're asking these vehicles, these drivers to do, the conditions, we're doing a pretty darn good job. Don't forget, soccer, if you're looking for it, it's over on Fox Sports 2 right now, the match between Mexico and Cuba. As soon as we're done here, we will have the rest of that match here on Fox Sports 1. The other thing about the safety is that we learn from all of this and continue to improve. And, of course, we had a huge lesson just a week ago at Daytona as you watch Dylan's car get airborne and up into the fencing.
Yeah, one of the worst accidents we've seen in a long time. He's going to get launched off of the front of Denny Hamlin's car into the outside catch fence. But we talk about the driver compartment, and NASCAR has really focused on that over the last, really since their existence, but hard in the last 6 or 8 years to make sure that driver is safe. And Austin rode through something like this, hardly anything left of that car other than the driver compartment, and he was able to get out of that thing. Look at the damage to that 3 car.
And look at the job.
Stopped.
Look at the job that fence did as well. That's 3,400 pounds of race car flying through the air at 190 miles an hour. The fence just kicked it back onto the racetrack, and the same thing can be said for this fence here in Kentucky. Ben got launched into the fence because he got hit by another truck when he was sideways. See right there, I think Gillen was down lower than Ben thought he'd be. Right when he hit the wall, Townley hits him. It just sends the truck into the air.
Just incredible video on a wild ride for Ben Kennedy.
We talked about the speed here at Kentucky and that part of the track, the fastest area in this racetrack, and when there was contact, it goes bad in a hurry.
And that was a hard call for the spotter to say you're 3 wide, because just at the last instant, John West had a little bit of momentum and pulled to the outside of Gilliland.
And Gilliland turned down to
give him some more room.
That, I think the last 2 wrecks, how do you blame them on a driver? It's just racing. They're racing hard near the end of the race, and they're trying to get all they can get, and they're making split-second decisions at 180 miles an hour. You miss it by an inch, and it causes a big crash, and that was just the imperfect storm for our number 11 truck of Ben Kennedy.
Here it is at speed. Could every other truck on the racetrack collectively get out of the throttle?
Yeah, and everybody collectively breathe a sigh of relief when Ben gets out and walks away from that truck.
Something to think about here, too. Not only do they have to repair this fence for tonight, but we got the Xfinity Series tomorrow and Cup cars to run here as well. There's still a lot of racing to do here this weekend. And as we were talking about that, word has just come from NASCAR. Due to the length of time it would take to repair that fence properly to put these vehicles back at full speed race conditions, NASCAR has decided to call this race here. Ben Kennedy has been released from the care center, and Matt Crafton has been declared the winner here tonight.
4th win on mile and a half for Matt Crafton this year. And it all happened on the restart, guys.
That's exactly right. And also, it was a dominant truck. The fastest truck won this race. It went to checkered early, but the fastest truck won it.
9th career win for Matt Crafton. We'll be back to hear from him after this. Back here in Kentucky, where a wild crash involving Ben Kennedy ripping through part of the catch fencing here at Kentucky Speedway has forced NASCAR to call this race early with about 5 laps remaining. Here's our Ram Guts Glory.
Didn't get off to the best start of the night. Tyler Reddick gets around him early, but he learned from that, Phil.
Yeah, boy, did he have a good truck here this night. We saw him. Even Eric Jones said, I think maybe the 88 has the best truck late in the race. His guys were solid on pit road there. He beats Daniel Suarez out here. He's racing the 8 of John Hunter Nemechek. Now he's racing the 29 of Ryan Blaney. He met all comers. This was a green flag pit stop. A little bit of a close situation here. He's got to pull in his pits. Whoa, whoa, John West Howley's there. That's to wait for him to go by.
Crew Chief Junior Joyner said, I've had about enough of that. A little bit of trouble in pit road, but when it counted, Matt Crafton with a huge push from Ryan Blaney. That's the key to this pass. Blaney's on his bumper, shoving him to the front.
He had a little bit of help right there. Ryan Blaney was trying to do it himself. He was trying to push him by and then go by on the inside. Remember, he had the oldest tires in the field. Wasn't quite able to get by the 88 of Crafton and end up losing second to Eric Jones. But a great job. And here's how it ended right here.
Ben Kennedy hard into the outside wall in turn 1, up into defense. Luckily and thankfully, Ben Kennedy walked away. And NASCAR wisely said, that's enough for tonight, boys. Matt Crafton, the fastest truck, the dominant truck, is your winner.
And they really had no choice. They have to fix the catch fence.
Well, let's hear from our big winner here at Kentucky. All right, Vince.
Matt Crafton climbing from his truck. Got to get it in park. It's starting to roll on him to celebrate his 4th win of the season. Matt Crafton winning at Kentucky Speedway for the first time. I know it's maybe not the way you envisioned winning it, but you had a fast truck all night long. How important was that last restart?
Oh, I got to thank Ryan Blaney. He was all about that restart. I know we had the best truck here when we got the track position. When I got the track position earlier and I drove away from everybody, and then we had a little problem on pit road when we were trying to get in our pit box on that green flag pit stop, and we lost the lead. So I think that was the only reason we lost the lead. But this Menard Toyota Tundra was really, really good. And I remember a truck won one at Phoenix, and it was called short, so you can't cry about it now.
You've already led more laps in this season than you have in any other year in your career. You have won more races this season than any season before in your career. How do you explain the success that you guys are having this season?
It's all about these guys that just build these great trucks each and every week. Yeah, that push was pretty amazing right there that Blaney gave me, without a doubt. It's all about, like I said, it's all about these guys. I mean, that build these trucks that bring them to the racetrack each and every week. These guys on pit road and duking around with horses as well.
Matt Crafton, he's the winner at Kentucky Speedway. Hermie?
Well, Ben Kennedy has been released from the care center. Actually, Austin Dillon walking up had a similar experience at Daytona. First, you've been released from the care center. Are you okay? And walk us through what happened in that accident.
Yeah, I'm fine. Thank the good Lord for keeping me safe and everything NASCAR does to keep these trucks safe, because had this been, years ago, I don't know that I would have got out my truck on my own power like that. That's pretty incredible. But, yeah, I was just coming down the front straightaway, and I heard clear, and I guess the 92 had a run on outside. As soon as I heard clear, I wanted to get a good arc into the corner, so I started heading up towards the wall and got hit in the right rear, and then I guess the rest is really history. Got up on top of the wall for a while, and you don't really know what to expect being up there. And then falling down from the wall to the ground was a pretty hard hit as well. So, like I said, I thank the good Lord for keeping me safe out there, and we'll go get him at Eldora.
That's Ben Kennedy released from the care center. That's great news, Ralph.
Yes, it is. And the results that you're seeing across the top of the screen are unofficial due to this ending in the red flag situation.
There you see Austin Dillon talking to Ben.
So because it's unofficial with results, the point's unofficial too at this stage. But you can see Reddick, Jones, Crafton extends his lead a little bit.
Yeah, 4 wins. What an outstanding season for our two-time defending champion, Matt Crafton. Tyler Reddick hanging in there with another top 10 finish. Eric Jones, another runner-up finish with a great truck, led the most laps once again.
Well, we're on to Eldora soon. We're going to go sling some mud. Coming up next here on Fox Sports 1, CONCACAF Soccer Gold Cup match. Mexico versus Cuba. For Vince Welch, Hermie Sadler, Michael Waltrip, Phil Parsons, I'm Ralph Shaheen. So long from here. Congratulations to Matt Crafton. Let's go to Glenn Davis.